The Priestess's time travel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 1. Am I a descendant of the witch clan? The door opened, and Su Qingni walked in exhausted. Without turning on the lights, she walked to the sofa in the light of the street lamp and did a Jack U pose. Tired, very tired, extremely tired. Tired physically, mentally, and mentally. This was inevitable, because apart from her normal daily commute, she spent the rest of her time looking for two good friends. Her two good friends, one named Luo Cheng and the other named Lan Xiaoyao, were of the same age as her, and their relationship was as good as that of real sisters. The three of them were all born in orphanages and knew each other when they were 2 or 3 years old. Since then, they have supported each other and grown up together. For more than 20 years, they have never been separated. But now, two good friends have disappeared one after another. She has been looking for them for almost 3 months, but she has not found any of them. This is the longest time they have been apart. Su Qingni raised her head and her eyes swept towards the doors of the 2 bedrooms. She and her 2 good sisters rented this house together. It has 3 bedrooms and 2 living rooms, and each of the 3 people has a bedroom. The room with a portrait of a game character on the bedroom door belongs to Luo Cheng, who likes to play online games. The room with an embroidery on the bedroom door, although it is machine embroidery, belongs to Lan Xiaoyao, who loves traditional culture and looks very classical. The one on her bedroom door is an upside-down blessing character, which was pasted during the Spring Festival. Her hobbies are not obvious, and she doesn't know what to paste to represent her personality. The bedroom doors are tightly closed. Their owners are gone and have not been opened for a long time. The portraits and embroidery on the doors seem to be covered with a layer of dust and are dim. Su Qingni's eyes can't help but redden. Cheng, Xiaoyao, where have you been? Why don't you come back? Suddenly, a voice abruptly came into her ears. Do you want to see your friends? Who? Su Qingni jumped up from the sofa and looked around vigilantly. Who actually sneaked into her house when she was not at home? Humph, Su Qingni had worked in a martial arts school. She was better at Wing Chun than the apprentices in the school and was praised by the director. It was not a problem for her to beat 1 or 2 sturdy men. If the person who sneaked into her house had bad intentions, she would definitely make him look bad. Although the voice seemed to be a woman, who said that women were not bad people and would not be thieves? Don't be nervous, I'm here to help you. As the voice was spoken, a woman's figure suddenly appeared in the air 3 meters in front of Su Qingni. Su Qingni's mouth was big enough to fit an egg. What was going on? She could see clearly that there was no rope falling from the ceiling, so the woman was not floating in the air by external force, but floating in the air without support. This was simply shocking. Su Qingni supported her shaky 3 views and looked at the woman carefully. How should I describe the woman's appearance? Her facial features were not outstanding at all, but when put together, they gave people a very beautiful feeling. The most attractive thing was the woman's eyes. Su Qingni had never seen such deep eyes, as deep as the sea. No, not the sea, but the abyss connected to the 18 levels of hell. She saw killing, compassion, and reincarnation in it. The woman was wearing a dark robe, the style of ancient costume, and a golden hair crown on her head. She looked very solemn. Even the Queen Mother played on TV did not have a bit of momentum from this woman. The whole person is definitely not an ordinary person. Absolutely not. But why did she feel a little bit of intimacy from this woman? What is her relationship with her? Are you a fairy? Su Qingni calmed down, quickly reorganized her broken 3 views, and asked carefully. The woman did not beat around the bush or play dumb, and directly announced her identity. I am Pingxin. Pingxin? What Pingxin? Su Qingni's forehead was full of question marks. Is there such a person among the Chinese fairies? Looking at the dress of this fairy, he doesn't look like an ordinary person. He must be a big shot. Could it be the Queen Mother of the West? Pingxin is the name of the Queen Mother of the West? But if the Queen Mother of the West wants to introduce herself to the public, will she directly say that she is the Queen Mother of the West? Will she tell people her unknown name? Su Qingni quickly searched for the name Pingxin in her mind, but she didn't find it in the traditional immortal system. Well, it was mainly because she didn't know much about the traditional immortal genealogy, and only knew some well-known immortals, such as the Jade Emperor, the Queen Mother, the Taishang Laojin, Erlang Shen, Yang Jian, Sun Wukong, Taibei Jinxing, the South Pole Immortal, the King of Hell, Ksiddhagarbha Bodhisattva, the Tathagata Buddha, Guanyin Bodhisattva, the 18 Arhats, the 3 Pure Ones, the 4 Emperors, and so on. She searched widely and found it. It was mentioned in a prehistoric article that how-to turned into reincarnation, and a bit of true spirit turned into Pingxin Niangniang, guarding the 6 reincarnation places. Are you Pingxin Niangniang who is in charge of reincarnation, the transformation of how-to Zhu Wu? Su Qingni asked tentatively. Niangniang Pingxin nodded slightly. It's me. Su Qingni, great god. But how could the great god appear in my own home? Excuse me, Niangni, what's the matter with coming to my home? Su Qingni calmed herself down and asked. I came for you. Niangniang Pingxin smiled slightly. Her expression was not cold, but kind. You and I are destined to be together. Su Qingni. A picture popped up in her mind. A monk smiled at her. Dao Ao, you and I are destined to be together. Don't think about it. Niangniang Pingxin scolded slightly. You are the blood of my Wu clan, and you have no fate with Zunti. Wu clan blood. Su Qingni pointed at her nose. Me. Then Niangniang Pingxin nodded. Since the defeat of Chiao, only 1 in 10 of my Wu clan blood has survived, but there is always a way out. There is still blood passed down, but the Wu clan blood of the children born from the union with the human race is getting weaker and weaker, and they can no longer be called descendants of the Wu clan. What about me? Can I be called a descendant of the which clan? Su Qingni asked. Niangniang Pingxin said, it is inherited from the previous generation. Both your biological parents have the blood of the witch clan. Your witch clan blood is thicker than that of ordinary people at birth. As you age, the witch clan blood in your body becomes thicker and thicker, while the human blood is decreasing. Now, the human blood in your body is extremely thin. Su Qingni. Is she not a human now? Niangniang Pingxin said, you are a witch clan now. Su Qingni. Oh Niangniang Pingxin, I have something I need you to do. Su Qingni. Niangni, although you said I am a witch clan, I am just an ordinary person without any ability. How can I help Niangniang? Niangniang Pingxin, you will have the ability. Su Qingni. Su Qingni, Niangni, what do I need to do? Since you can't refuse, just try your best to do it. The great god asked her to do something, can she still escape? Niangniang Pingxin smiled and said, don't worry, help you find your friends first. Su Qingni suddenly opened her eyes wide and asked anxiously, Empress, do you know where they are? Can you help me find them? Empress Pingxin liked her sincerity towards her friends, but thinking of the experiences of her 2 friends, Empress Pingxin sighed and said, the girl named Luo Cheng has left this world. What? Cheng is dead. Su Qingni was shocked, her body was swaying and her face was pale. The 2 friends had been missing for so long, and she had thought about this situation. She didn't want to believe that her friends would die. But, Empress Pingxin said so. Empress Pingxin is in charge of the 6 reincarnations in the underworld. She is not dead. Empress Pingxin said, she just left this world. Su Qingni. That, Empress, I don't understand what you mean by this. Empress Pingxin thought for a while and gave a term, crossing. Crossing. Yes. Luo Cheng's body left this world and crossed into another world. Empress Pingxin said. Su Qingni blinked and blinked again. Does time travel really exist? It's not a fiction. Hearing that one of her good friends just traveled to another world and didn't die, Su Qingni put her mind at ease and breathed a long sigh of relief. It's okay, it's okay. I hope Cheng can live well in the other world. Empress Pingxin said, don't worry, generally people who can travel through time have great opportunities, are favored by heaven, and can turn misfortune into good fortune and disaster into blessing. That's good. Su Qingni put aside her worries about Luo Cheng, and asked Empress Pingxin, what about Xiao? Is she okay? Empress Pingxin said, she also traveled through time, but it was her soul. Xiao also traveled through time. Her situation is surprisingly the same as Cheng's. They are indeed good sisters. Su Qingni said with a smile, and then her smile paused, soul travel. Empress Pingxin said, Lan Xiaoyao's body is 30 kilometers west of your current residence. Su Qingni's smile faded. Xiaoyao, is she dead? Not dead, it's just that her soul has left her current body and started a new life journey. But for this world, she is still dead. Su Qingni was a little sad. Although her friend would be alive in another world, her body remained in this world, as if she was really dead. Empress Pingxin's tone became softer, and she comforted Su Qingni. The most important thing about a person is not the shell, but her soul. If another soul enters Lan Xiaoyao's current body, do you still regard Lan Xiaoyao as your friend? Su Qingni shook her head. Empress Pingxin, if Lan Xiaoyao changes her body and comes to you, she has all your past, will you still regard her as a friend? Su Qingni nodded. Empress Pingxin said, in that case, what is there to be sad about? Su Qingni. Although she felt that Empress Pingxin was right, she just felt uncomfortable. Empress, can you tell me the specific location of Xiaoyao's body? Chapter 2, Revenge for a Friend. The Queen Mother Pingxin told the specific location of Lan Xiaoyao's body. Bring a hoe. Her body is buried quite deep, about 3 or 4 meters deep. Su Qingni. Damn, this is murder and burial. My friend must have been murdered. Su Qingni's eyes and face were red with anger. Who killed Xiaoyao? Su Qingni asked. Queen Mother, you are a deity, you must know, right? The Queen Mother Pingxin nodded, touched Su Qingni's eyebrows with her fingertips, and input a little white light. The white light exploded in Su Qingni's mind, and many pictures flashed through her mind one by one. Su Qingni saw that Lan Xiaoyao was hit by a high-end sports car on her way home from the night shift. Although she was injured and unconscious, she was not dead. If the owner of the sports car sent her to the hospital or contacted an ambulance, Lan Xiaoyao would be saved. But the owner of the sports car did not do so. Instead, he reversed the car and ran over Lan Xiaoyao's body 3 times in a row, crushing Lan Xiaoyao to death. After Lan Xiaoyao died, a young woman got off the sports car. She was dressed in branded clothes and had an arrogant and mean expression. She spit on Lan Xiaoyao's body and snorted, "See how you can snatch men from me." After saying this, the young woman got on the sports car and drove away. As soon as she left, a van stopped next to Lan Xiaoyao's body. Several big men got off the car, carried Lan Xiaoyao's body onto the van, and drove all the way to a deep mountain 30 kilometers away from the outskirts of the city. They dug a deep pit, threw Lan Xiaoyao's body into the pit, and filled it with soil. The 3 men who stayed at the place where Lan Xiaoyao died had already cleaned up the blood very skillfully and destroyed all the evidence. Some even called certain people and asked them to destroy the surveillance footage. These people were extremely skilled in doing things. It seemed that they had done this kind of cleanup many times and had experience. Did the woman who hit and killed Lan Xiaoyao not only kill Lan Xiaoyao? The next screen shows the woman's information. Her name is Dong Qianlin, and her family is very rich. Her great-grandfather's generation started doing business, and when her father came to power, the Dong family's business had spread all over the country, and even abroad. Moreover, the Dong family is not only rich, but they also have manpower and a network of relationships. The Dong family has people in the business world and the underworld. The Dong family is ruthless and unscrupulous in doing business. They use all kinds of abnormal means to suppress and persecute competitors. Stealing the business secrets of competitors is still light. They even send people to kill the whole family of competitors. Dong Qianlin doesn't take human life seriously. She hits and kills anyone she wants. It's completely a family tradition. Everyone in her family has her life in their hands, and everyone has a team of people behind them to help them clean up after the Dong family kills someone. Because of their existence, the Dong family is more unscrupulous and doesn't take human life seriously. Lan Xiaoyao is innocent. She doesn't even have the idea of finding a boyfriend, so how could she compete with Dong Qianlin for a man? It was just a few words with a man that Dong Qianlin liked. The man showed a little appreciation for Lan Xiaoyao, which made Dong Qianlin extremely jealous. The man's family had some power, and he was the person she liked. Dong Qianlin would not do anything to the man, so she directed all her anger at Lan Xiaoyao. Dong Qianlin hit Lan Xiaoyao to death, just like she had hit and killed other girls who had close contact with boys in the past. The picture showed that the number of girls Dong Qianlin hit and killed was no less than the number on the fingers of 2 hands. This woman's crime should be sentenced to death. But because her family is rich and powerful, she is still at large and will continue to kill more innocent girls. Su Qingni's face flushed with anger. How could such evil people be allowed to live well and harm others? My queen, such people should go to the 18th level of hell, right? Why are they still alive and well, enjoying the rich life exchanged for other people's lives? Su Qingni asked angrily. because their lifespan has not yet ended. Empress Pingxin said lightly, "Don't worry, as long as they die, their souls will go to the underworld and receive corresponding punishment. The Dong family member who has committed the least evil will serve 100 years in the hell of Knife Mountain. But they are still alive, and more people will be killed by them." Su Qingni gritted her teeth and said, "I want to stop them, and make them punished while they are alive. I want them all to be punished by law, and they will never be able to harm others again. Most importantly, I want to avenge Xiang Ouyao." "Then go and do it. You can also gain merit by stopping evil people from committing crimes." Empress Pingxin smiled. "Merit?" Su Qingni asked doubtfully, "Does merit really have the same function as described in online novels nowadays?" Lady Pingxin nodded and said with a sigh, "People nowadays have really big imaginations. They dare to think of anything. The problem is that some of their thoughts are right. For example, on the point of merit, 80% of the statements in online novels are right. So, when you start practicing in the future, you must strive for merit." "Okay." Su Qingni agreed, and then said, "Lady, can the picture you showed me just now be displayed on the computer or on paper? I want to punish the Dong family through legal means, but without evidence, the police can't do anything to them." "Okay." Lady Pingxin agreed, and stretched out her finger to emit a white light spot, which quickly sank into the computer on the wall. Su Qingni immediately came to the front of the computer and turned on the host and screen switches. The computer configuration can only be said to be acceptable, and it took 2 or 3 minutes to enter the operation window. Su Qingni saw a new folder on the desktop. She clicked on the folder and saw a lot of pictures and information, as well as some videos, which were exactly what she had seen in her mind just now. "My queen, you actually know computers." Su Qingni was surprised. Queen Pingxin smiled and said, "You have to keep up with the trend of the times. Humans are very interesting. The things they invent are both interesting and convenient. The underworld now uses computers for work. I also have a smartphone." "Smartphone?" Su Qingni smacked her lips. "Is it for the underworld?" "Of course." Queen Pingxin said, "There are many talents in the underworld. It should be said that they are geniuses. When they were alive, they studied electronic technology. When they arrived at the local area, they were hired by the underworld to help the underworld carry out technological reforms." Su Qingni. "It really keeps up with the times." Su Qingni compressed the folder and sent it to the relevant departments, major media and Dong's opponents through the internet. After receiving these materials, the major media may still have doubts and are unwilling to offend the Dong family, but the Dong family's opponents and relevant departments did not hesitate. The country has long wanted to eradicate the cancer of the Dong family, but the Dong family's cleanup team is too powerful. They do things very cleanly, so that the relevant departments can't find evidence. Even if there's evidence, the Dong family cannot be nailed down all at once. If they are not nailed to death at once, they will flee abroad and there will be nothing we can do to them. Now someone has sent them the evidence of the Dong family's crimes, which is so detailed that they can convict all the Dong family members. The relevant departments are very grateful to the person who sent them the evidence, traced the source of the evidence, and wanted to give a certificate of reward to the person who provided the evidence. However, when the people from the relevant departments found Su Qingni's residence, she had already left this world. Su Qingni has been paying attention to the situation of the Dong family. When all the Dong family members were arrested, the court sentenced them, and Dong Qianlin was sentenced to death. Su Qingni breathed a sigh of relief. She avenged her friend. "Empress, can you tell me now what I am going to do?" Su Qingni opened her eyes and asked the air. The air was slightly distorted, and the figure of Empress Pingxin appeared. "I will send you to a place where you will practice hard. When the time comes, you will naturally know what you are going to do." "Where to go?" Su Qingni asked. "Will Empress Pingxin take her to the underworld?" Empress Pingxin smiled and said, "Go to the place that the protagonists in the prehistoric novels want to go the most." "Huh?" Just as Su Qingni was at a loss, a black hole appeared behind her and swallowed Su Qingni in one gulp. Before Su Qingni lost consciousness, she heard Empress Pingxin's last words, "Practice hard, maybe you and your two friends will meet again." When the black hole swallowed Su Qingni and disappeared in midair, Empress Pingxin spit out a mouthful of golden blood. This time, she forcibly opened the time and space channel and sent people to the prehistoric era. She paid a lot and suffered punishment from the heaven. The internal injuries she suffered will take at least 10,000 years to recover completely. However, This injury is nothing compared to being able to change the fate of the Wu clan. I hope that Su Qingni, a little chess piece that is not on the calculation of the prehistoric heaven, can play a role in change the fate of the Wu clan. Her clansmen, if there is only Su Qingni, it is too few. Yes, the human race is the master of heaven and earth, but existence is reasonable. There are 50 great ways and 49 heavenly evolutions. Since the witch clan has existed, why must it perish? Why can't the witch clan be given a ray of life? Even if the witch clan is given a little living space, it will be fine. The environment behind the ancient bronze door is so bad, how can people survive? The tribesmen who were still alive at that time retreated to the ancient bronze door, and now they are extinct. The ancient bronze door has also disappeared in history. Su Qingni, you are the last hope of the witch clan. Empress Pingxin wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth, smiled, and disappeared in Su Qingni's room. 3 days later, the relevant personnel who were investigating the evidence of the Duong family found the house. The evidence they found showed that Su Qingni had been staying at home since she returned to her home 3 days ago and had not gone out, but when they entered the room, they found that the people inside had disappeared, just like her other good friend Luo Chang, who disappeared inexplicably in this world. So, this became an unsolved case. Chapter 3 Traveling Through Time. Qingni, back to the tribe. Okay. A girl who looked about 13 or 14 years old answered. She raised her head. Her beautiful face looked exactly like Su Qingni, but her face was much more childish than Su Qingni's. But in fact, this little girl was Su Qingni. The effect of traveling through time was that she looked 10 years younger. When Su Qingni woke up, she found herself lying in a stone house. The house was built quite roughly. There was no furniture or furnishings in the room, not even a bed. She felt that she was lying on the ground, but there was something between the ground and her body. Where is this? Su Qingni was very surprised. The scene before she fell into coma emerged. So, the black hole was actually made by Empress Pingxin? Where did she send herself? Just as she was thinking, 2 tall men and a woman of equally tall stature came in from the doorway without a door. The style of their clothes was very strange. The material made Su Qingni unable to recognize, but it didn't look like cloth or animal skin. Seeing that Su Qingni had woken up, the woman took 2 steps forward and helped Su Qingni sit up, while the 2 men were already sitting opposite her. What's your name, little one? One of the men asked. The man's language was definitely not the language of the flower country, nor was it English, Japanese, French, Russian, Spanish, Latin, or any other language of any country on the modern earth, but Su Qingni could understand the man's language, and she even felt that she could speak this language. Was this a cheat given to her by Empress Pingxin? Su Qingni thought about it and answered, My name is Su Qingni. Where is this place? This is Yaoxi tribe. Qixin is the leader of my tribe. This is Yunang, the warrior of the tribe. The woman next to you is my wife Shuxin. Qixin answered, When Niangniang was out hunting with his tribe, he found you unconscious and brought you back. Little cub, why are you unconscious? Where are your parents and tribe? Why did they let you run back alone? What if you encounter a demon tribe? Tribe? Little cub? Demon tribe. Su Qingni was horrified every time she heard a word. In the end, she was completely stunned. It took a long time for her to come back to her senses. These nouns reminded her of another noun, prehistoric. Did Empress Pingxin send her back to the prehistoric era of witches and demons? Su Qingni answered obediently, I only remember my name, and I can't remember anything else. Don't remember. The 3 people were slightly startled, and their eyes were full of pity when they looked at Su Qingni. This child must have suffered a tragic thing, so she would forget the past, right? Poor child. Shui Xin reached out and touched Su Qingni's head, saying with pity, You will live in our tribe from now on. Damn demon tribe. Su Qingni heard Hunayan curse in a low voice. It seems that he put the blame on the demon tribe. Is the king of the demon tribe Dijun? Su Qingni asked tentatively. Qishan nodded and praised, You know that the king of the demon tribe is called Dijun at such a young age? It seems that your memory is not completely lost. Sure enough, it really came to the prehistoric era. Yes. Su Qingni nodded very obediently. I remember that the demon clan established a heavenly palace. The emperor of heaven was Dijun, the emperor of the east was Taii, and the witch clan had 12 ancestor witches, namely Dijiang, Zhujiayan, Shebishi, Rushao, Jumeng, Gonggong, Ziyuring, Haotu, Zuanming, Xianwu, Niangniang, Yanzi. You have to call them adults. Shui Zin hurriedly said to Su Qingni, not only should we respect the ancestor witches as adults, but we should also respect the powerful great witches as adults. Su Qingni tilted her head and pretended to have forgotten. Great witch. Yes, our witch clan has divided the levels according to their strength. The 12 ancestor witches are the incarnations of the great god Pangu. They are the most powerful and are the most respected people in our witch clan. Below the ancestor witches are the great witches, like Lord Xiangliu, Lord Haoi, Lord Khufu. They are the great witches. Below the great witches are the sky witches. Below the sky witches are the earth witches, and below the earth witches are ordinary witches like us. Shui Zin told Su Qingni in detail about the classification of the Wu clan. Su Qingni had a so awesome expression on her face, and tears were falling in her heart. She really came to the prehistoric era and really became a member of the Wu clan. Well, according to the words of Empress Pingxin, she was originally a Wu clan. The blood of the human race has become thin in modern times. Maybe after traveling through time, the blood of the human race has been completely eliminated and they have become the real Wu clan. Otherwise, Shui Zin and the other two would not have accepted a stranger like her so easily. Okay, cub, your body is still very weak. Rest well for a few days. After you rest well, you will practice with other children in the tribe. Qishan told them about their arrangements for Su Qingni. Because of Su Qingni's appearance, because of Su Qingni's blood, and because of Su Qingni's pitiful experience, they completely accepted this child to join their Yaoxi tribe. Can I practice now? Su Qingni's eyes lit up. When she knew that she was a descendant of the Wu clan, she was looking forward to practicing. The Wu clan's abilities are very powerful. Although they are only physically strong, that is also amazing. Each of the 12 witch ancestors is equivalent to a quasi-saint, and even ordinary witches can be compared with the so-called gods and immortals who came later, and they also have a long lifespan. How could Su Qingni not be tempted? She had previously complained that Empress Pingxin did not teach her how to practice. Now that she thinks about it, Empress Pingxin has already made arrangements to let her learn the most orthodox practice techniques from the ancient witches. Cub, we're leaving first. Qishan stood up. I'm not a cub. Su Qingni protested. She was already in her 20s, and it was too embarrassing to be called a cub. You're not a cub. Qishan smiled. Your height has not even reached my waist. If you're not a cub, are you an adult? Little guy, wait until you grow as tall as Shui Zin, then we can talk about whether you're a cub or not. What? Su Qingni was shocked. Qishan was indeed tall. According to her visual estimation, he was at least 2 meters tall. However, she was not short either, over 1.7 meters tall. An agency once asked her if she wanted to be a model. How could she only say that Qishan was as tall as his waist? Isn't this an exaggeration? Su Qingni tried to stand up. Her body was not injured, it was just the sequelae of the time travel, and she recovered after a period of rest, and walked to Qishan to compare heights with him, but when she really walked to him, she found that she was really only as tall as his waist. This is unscientific. Su Qingni was shocked. What was going on? Young cub, what are you going to do? Qishan asked in confusion. I'm not a young cub, I'm already 24. Su Qingni retorted. What 24? Qishan didn't understand. Oh, can't the Wu people count? Maybe, after all, counting and measurement have not appeared yet, not even writing. I mean I'm an adult. Su Qingni said. Haha, little guy, don't lie to us. If you grow up, I will eat this stone house. You have small arms and legs, almost the same size as my daughter, how can you grow up? Qishan laughed. She didn't have small arms and legs. Su Qingni raised her hand and clenched her fist to protest, but the small fist and slender wrist came into her eyes, which made her dumbfounded. Is this small fist her own? Is such a small wrist her own? Looking down again, the bun on her chest was gone, and it was flat. The height of her eyes from the ground seemed to be lowered, and her long legs turned into a pair of short legs. Su Qingni. It seems that her appearance has changed drastically. Could it be that she didn't wear a body, but a soul? Did the Queen Pingxin only send her soul to the prehistoric era? How is her body? It won't be destroyed, right? Or was it collected by the Queen Pingxin? A few days later, Su Qingni saw her current appearance in the stream next to Yaoxi tribe and confirmed that she was not a soul traveler, but a body traveler. It was just that her body shrunk due to the sequelae of the travel, from a slender figure in her 20s to a small body of 13 or 14 years old. Rejuvenation, 10 years younger. But Su Qingni was not happy. She missed her long legs. However, the advantage of becoming a cub is that she can train with other cubs, otherwise it would be embarrassing for her long legs to train among a group of short legs. The witch tribe is naturally strong, and they don't need to practice hard to have powerful strength. However, because the contradiction between the witch tribe and the demon tribe has become apparent, for safety, the tribesmen have begun to practice hard, and the cubs have been practicing since childhood, hoping that they will have more powerful strength than their ancestors when they grow up and be able to protect themselves better. Su Qingni is a hybrid of the human race and the witch race. Even though she no longer has human blood in her body, and only has witch blood, and has been tempered by time travel, her physical strength is incomparable to that in modern society, but it is far worse than that of the native witch children. The instructors who taught everyone to practice were all amazed at how Su Qingni's body was so weak. Su Qingni laughed. She can now lift a 200 jin stone, which is a strong man and a female man in modern times. How can she still be weak? But compared to other witches, she is indeed weak. The witch race is blessed by nature, and its physical strength is the strongest in the prehistoric world. Don't look at her weakness now. Even if she doesn't practice, she will become very powerful when she becomes an adult again. The strength of her hands is at least more than 2,000 jins, not to mention her physical strength. She won't bleed if she cuts her body with a knife, but will only leave white scratches. Qingni, why are you so slow? Hurry up. The friends called Su Qingni again. Here I come, here I come. After waking up from her memories, Su Qingni quickened her pace and caught up with her friends. Chapter 4, Life in the Wilderness. Su Qingni followed her friends back to the tribe. At this time, the men had already returned from hunting, and the women were skinning and cleaning the prey and roasting them on the fire. The barbecue exuded a unique aroma, which made the friends drool. But not Su Qingni. Although she also liked to eat barbecue, she was tired of eating barbecue every day. She missed stewing, stir-frying, steaming, stewing, cooking, and cold dishes. Should we make cooking utensils such as woks? Although the life of the witch tribe is similar to that of humans in primitive society, there are still many differences. The biggest difference is that the witch tribe has the ability. As long as they are given an idea, they can realize it. Humans in primitive society do not have the ability to make iron pots, shovels and other things, but the witch tribe can. With their strength, they can make iron pots and stone pots with just a few strokes. If they use magic, it will be even simpler. One of the friends, Zai Liu, ran to Su Qingni holding 2 pieces of barbecue wrapped in leaves and handed one of them to Su Qingni. Here, eat it. Thank you. Su Qingni took the barbecue and ate it in big mouthfuls. Although she was a little tired of eating, she couldn't be full without eating, especially when she was exercising a lot every day. She would get hungry faster. These barbecues contain a lot of energy, which is unique to the prehistoric world. The effect is comparable to the natural treasures in other fairy worlds. The difference in world level: the prehistoric world should be regarded as the top world in the universe, and the concentration of spiritual energy is far higher than other fairy worlds. Eating these barbecues every day, Su Qingni can clearly feel the increase of energy in her body. After eating the barbecue, Su Qingni went back to her stone house. The house was the one where she woke up and laid down. It was built by Niang. Su Qingni added a door herself. When she closed the door, she had her own space. The other tribesmen saw the effect of the door and imitated it. Now everyone will close the door when they are fighting. Su Qingni had just stood up when she saw Shui Xin coming over. Of course, Shui Xin was not looking for her, but for Zai Liu's mother, Chunhua. Chunhua, this time we will go to the Holy Land to meet the ancestors. Your eldest son will be with you. You should quickly prepare his luggage and set off early every morning. After that, Shui Xin left in a hurry to inform other people. Holy Land? Ancestors? Su Qingni's ears moved, and she was quite sensitive to the 2 nouns in Shui Xin's words. Zai Liu, are the ancestors Lord Dijiang and his friends? Su Qingni turned around and asked her friends. Yes, yes. Zai Liu was extremely excited. The 12 ancestral witches are the supreme existences in the hearts of everyone in the witch clan, and they are all proud to meet them. Now that his father has the opportunity to meet the 12 ancestral witches, how can Zai Liu not be excited? Su Qingni got a positive answer and ran to find Shui Xin. Aunt Shui Xin, can I go to the Holy Land? Although Lady Pingxin sent her to the prehistoric world, She did not tell her what her mission was. She couldn't just live in a daze and keep thinking that after the witch and lich catastrophe, she would perish with the witch clan in the prehistoric historical stage, right? Su Qingni believed that Lady Pingxin sent her here to change the fate of the witch clan, but she was just an ordinary little girl of the witch clan, not yet an adult. The average life expectancy of ordinary witch clan members was 3,000 years old, and Su Qingni was also a cub among the cubs in the tribe. Even with her age in modern times, how could she have the ability to change the direction of the witch clan? Even if she put forward any opinions that were beneficial to the witch clan, they would not be adopted. Su Qingni wanted to see the 12 witch ancestors, and she wanted to see how to the most. How to was the previous life of Lady Pingxin, and perhaps how to would accept her statement. Once how to accepted it, with her status in the witch clan, the fate of the witch clan might be changed. Unfortunately, Yaoxi tribe is just a small tribe, and it is quite far from the Holy Land where the 12 witch ancestors are staying. She has no chance to see the 12 witch ancestors. Now that she has a chance to go to the Holy Land, she must strive for it. However, things are not something that Su Qingni can do just by striving for it. Shuizhen smiled and firmly rejected Su Qingni, and Qishan said without hesitation that the cubs should stay in the tribe and not run around. Is going to the Holy Land a blind run? Unable to convince Qishan to take her to the Holy Land, Su Qingni could only leave in disappointment. She made up her mind to practice harder and harder, strive to cultivate strong strength as soon as possible, and go to the witch tribe Holy Land to see how to. Anyway, the time of the prehistoric times is not counted as time. Anyway, even if she doesn't practice, she has a lifespan of 3,000 years, so she is not in a hurry for this year or 10 years. Su Qingni, when did she not take 1 year or 10 years seriously? Well, she is getting arrogant. No, she must remember the teachings of being a human being. 10,000 years is too long. Seize the day. Su Qingni practiced harder. She was more diligent than other children. Now she didn't waste any time. She was very serious in practicing physical skills and magic. King Mu, who taught them, admired Su Qingni's hard work and taught her more attentively. He often gave her special advice. Su Qingni's strength grew rapidly, far surpassing her friends. In the gap between practice, Su Qingni made a cooking pot and a wok, and taught the women in the tribe to make stewed meat soup and stir-fried vegetables. The food in the tribe changed dramatically and became colorful and delicious. Soon, these food methods spread throughout the witch tribe, and Su Qingni was praised by Dijiang, the eldest of the 12 witch ancestors. This praise did not come from Dijiang in person, but was relayed by Qishan. Every 100 years, the leaders of each tribe would lead the elites to the Holy Land to pay homage to the ancestors, although they might not see them, to exchange information. Su Qingni was still not among the people who went to the Holy Land for the second time. There is no way. The growth period of the witch tribe is too long. Although 100 years have passed, Su Qingni's appearance has only grown 2 or 3 years old. She is still a cub. It would be strange if Qishan would take her. However, Su Qingni's strength is really beyond words. In just 100 years, her strength has reached the level of a young witch, and her lifespan has increased to 10,000 years. 10,000 years, in the past, I dare not think that I would live for such a long time in modern times. On this day, Su Qingni was practicing the new spell that King Mu taught her. Suddenly, a colorful glow in the distance rushed straight into the sky, illuminating the entire prehistoric continent, from the heaven to the 9 netherworlds, all covered by the glow. Su Qingni looked in the direction of the glow in surprise, and was wondering what was going on. Suddenly, a strong pressure emanated from the glow, pressing everyone to kneel on the ground, unable to get up no matter what, and a thought of not daring to resist arose in their hearts. Is this the pressure of the saint? Su Qingni was horrified. This pressure alone made her spit blood. How powerful is the strength of the saint? No wonder it is said that everyone below the saint is an ant. Under this pressure, am I not just like an ant? However, which saint is this? Is it Nuwa? Not long after, the answer came out, and a gentle but majestic female voice spread throughout the 4 seas and 8 wildernesses. Today, Nuwa created the human race, and became a saint with merit. She opened up the Taoist temple Nuwa in the chaos. If you want to communicate, you can go directly to Nuwa Palace. It is indeed Nuwa who became a saint. Now that the human race has been created, the witch and monster races will withdraw from the prehistoric stage. But there is no need to worry too much. It will take a short time for the two races to withdraw from the prehistoric world. It will take thousands of years, and I still have time. New was sainthood as a signal. After that, the three pure ones and the two saints in the west became saints one after another, and the pattern of the prehistoric world changed drastically. The human religion, the exposition religion, the Ji religion, the Western Buddhism, and the human race have divided most of the luck in the prehistoric world. If Su Qingni has a pair of heavenly eyes, she can see that the luck of the witch clan is getting less and less. Although the 12 witch ancestors and Emperor Jun of the demon clan felt something, they did not realize that there was too much of a threat. They felt that even if Nu was sinking and the two saints of the west became saints, they were not a big threat. Not to mention that the saints did not take care of things, they were all fighting alone. How could they compare with a tribe? The witch clan had the 12 evil formations, and the demon clan had this Haoshan Xingdao formation. When activated, they had the power of saints, and even slightly exceeded the power exerted by saints. They were confident, so how could they be afraid of a few saints? 500 years passed in a blink of an eye. Su Qingni looked like she was 17 or 18 years old. She was considered an adult and could leave the tribe to go to the prehistoric continent for training, mainly because her strength was very strong. She had already reached the peak of the Earth Witch and was about to become a Sky Witch. Her strength was one of the strongest in the tribe, only a little behind Qixin, Hunang and King Mu. Shuizhen, Xiliu and others were left far behind by Su Qingni, especially Xiliu. She followed Su Qingni to practice and study, but now she has just practiced to become a little witch. Because of her strength, Qishan and Shuizhen were very relieved that she left the tribe to travel. They only told her to remember to come back and didn't care about her anymore. She packed a simple bag and left Yaxi tribe, where she had lived for hundreds of years when the sky just turned pale. The first stop of Su Qingni's travel was the so-called Holy Land of the Witch tribe, where the 12 witch ancestors lived. Su Qingni had come here once before with Qishan, but her luck was bad. The 12 witch ancestors were in seclusion and she didn't see them. This time, Su Qingni wanted to try her luck to see if the 12 witch ancestors came out of seclusion. She didn't have much hope. After all, the great powers of the prehistoric world would be in seclusion for thousands of years. This time, the 12 witch ancestors were in seclusion for less than 400 years. They shouldn't end their seclusion, right? Thinking about herself, she is now in the realm of earth witches, and the longest time for seclusion is 300 or 400 years. So, it's better not to have too much hope when going to the Holy Land this time. And as Su Qingni expected, when she arrived at the Holy Land, she got the news that the 12 witch ancestors were still in seclusion. Chapter 5 Teaching the Human Race. Su Qingni was not disappointed, as this was the result she expected. Leaving this huge palace complex, Su Qingni headed for her second destination. The second destination was where the human race lived. Now that she could not contact the 12 witch ancestors to change the fate of the witch clan, she could only add some life-saving things to herself first. In the prehistoric world, the best life-saving thing is merit, right? The method of obtaining merit is simple and difficult. The only way Su Qingni can think of to obtain the merit of heaven is to obtain it from the human race. The human race is the future master of heaven and earth and the darling of heaven. Nuwa became a saint because of creating the human race, and taking Liuzi became a saint because of establishing the human religion. As long as they are related to the human race, they can get benefits. Su Qingni remembered some online novels with prehistoric backgrounds that she had read. In order to obtain merit and educate humans, the protagonists really got a lot of benefits. Su Qingni decided to do it. Well, although it is a bit sorry for Guang Chengzi, the emperor's teacher of the human race, who robbed his credit and opportunity. But has Guang Chengzi entered the Yuxu Palace now? Yuking Yuanqi Shianzhen has only been a saint for hundreds of years, so he probably hasn't accepted disciples so soon, right? The most important thing is that Jizu Initun hasn't been born yet. The human race didn't have an easy life in the prehistoric world. Compared with the witch and monster races, their bodies are very weak, they don't know magic, their strength is low, and their lifespan is very short. They seem to be born inferior to other races. Some monsters even regard humans as one of their recipes. Although the witch race doesn't eat people, they don't like humans either. They drive them away and don't allow them to approach the territory of the witch race. The witch race lives on the prehistoric continent. Almost the entire land is the territory of the witch race. The places that are not regarded as their territory are all barren. The human race has to survive in this barren place. Not only is there little food, but they also have to deal with the occasional attacks of the vicious prehistoric beasts. Life is extremely difficult. When Su Qingni arrived at the settlement of the human race, she happened to encounter a huge prehistoric beast that ran into the settlement of the human race and wreaked havoc. While playing with the human warriors who were weak to it, it would occasionally grab one or two humans it liked and throw them into its mouth as snacks. Despair enveloped the entire human race. They knelt on the ground and prayed to the creator of the human race's mother, Nuwa, to save them, but unfortunately the prayers were not answered. Nuwa was in seclusion in the snail palace outside the 33 heavens. It was unknown whether she did not hear the prayers or heard them but did not care. At this time, a woman's figure landed in front of the prehistoric beast from the sky and saved the human warriors who were injured by it. Nuwa is here to save us. A human shouted excitedly, and the others also cheered happily and bowed to the woman. The woman, Su Qingni, said helplessly, "I am not Nuwa, I am just a traveler passing by." The human race. The person who shouted first reacted very quickly and changed his words. "It must be Nuwa who guided the benefactor to save us." Everyone, "Yes, it must be Nuwa's guidance." Su Qingni. "Okay, let Nuwa be Nuwa. It's just right to use the name of Nuwa to infiltrate the human race and make it easier for them to accept her." The prehistoric beast felt the power of Su Qingni and turned around to run away. How could Su Qingni let it run away? This is all meat, and the meat of the prehistoric beast contains a lot of energy. Su Qingni quickly caught up and slapped it. The huge head of the prehistoric beast was smashed by her and fell to the ground. The human race saw the prehistoric beast fall to the ground and cheered loudly. The first person to speak came to Su Qingni and bowed to thank him. "Thank you for helping us destroy the giant beast and saving us." The others also ran over and stood behind the man and bowed to Su Qingni. From this point of view, the man seemed to be their leader. "You're welcome. I just happened to meet someone by chance." Su Qingni waved her hand and said, "Men. Other human beings." Su Qingni. "I almost forgot that the human race is now a group of illiterates. How could they know the idiom by chance?" Su Qingni coughed and said, "I am a traveler who travels in the prehistoric world. I am a little tired recently. I want to find a place to rest for a while. I wonder if you can take me in for a while." "Of course, of course." The man nodded excitedly. It's great to find someone who can stay in their tribe. Her strength is so strong. With her, if the prehistoric beasts come to attack the settlement again in the future, everyone's life will be guaranteed. Moreover, can they learn some skills from this strong man? They don't need to learn everything, as long as they can learn 1/10 of the strong, no, even 1/100th of their ability, they will be satisfied. "My benefactor, my name is Yan, and I am the leader of the human race. If you have anything to do in the future, just tell me to do it." Yan said respectfully to Su Qingni and invited her into a cave. The human race did not know how to build houses yet, and all lived in caves. There were at least dozens or hundreds of people living in a cave, and you can imagine what it smelled like inside. Su Qingni stopped at the entrance of the cave and said to Yan, "I want to build a house. Send a few people to help me. When those people learn how to build a house, they can teach your people to build a house." "House?" Yan asked doubtfully, "What is a house?" "A house is something that can keep out the wind and rain, just like a cave, but more convenient than a cave." Su Qingni briefly described the function and style of the house, and Yan's eyes lit up when he heard it, and he immediately wanted to find a few people to build a house with Su Qingni. However, Yan's idea could not be implemented for the time being. Except for the children in the tribe, everyone else was surrounding the corpse of the prehistoric beast, happily dividing the meat. Such a large beast had enough meat of 10,000 kilograms, enough for the tribesmen to have several full meals. "Chief, benefactor, these 2 pieces of meat are the most tender, for you to eat." A young woman came to Su Qingni and Yan holding 2 pieces of bloody lean meat. Yan took the small piece of meat and gave the big piece to Su Qingni. "My benefactor, eat something to fill your stomach." Su Qingni looked at the bloody raw meat and knew that Yan and his people must have eaten raw meat, so she couldn't help but say, "It will taste better if we roast it." "Roast it?" Yan asked puzzledly. "How to roast it?" "Roast it with fire." Su Qingni said, "I will teach you how to make fire by rubbing 2 sticks together." From then on, Su Qingni stayed in the human settlement. She taught the humans how to make fire by rubbing 2 sticks together, roast food, build houses, make furniture, make stone utensils, make bows and arrows, set traps and hunt. took them to find natural salt mines to extract salt, taught them to recognize edible food and herbs that can cure diseases, taught them to farm, taught them to find rami, and learn to weave. Su Qingni has been in the human settlement for 50 years, and has taught the human race all the knowledge that she knows and can be used at this stage, and even taught them some physical and magical training methods, which has greatly improved the strength of the human race. On this day, when Su Qingni was directing some young humans to burn a kiln of pottery, Su Qingni felt something falling from the sky. She looked up at the sky and saw a very thick golden light. Su Qingni suddenly had a blessing in her heart. This golden light was nothing else but the golden light of merit that she had been longing for. The light column formed by the golden light of merit was as thick as a person, and it directly covered Su Qingni's body. Su Qingni felt as warm and comfortable as if she had returned to the mother's body. Her realm was rapidly improved because of the advent of the golden light of merit, and she directly surpassed the realm of heavenly witch and reached the peak of great witch, which was equivalent to the peak of Dalhuo Jingxin. So amazing! Feeling the powerful force in her body, Su Qingni was amazed. No wonder knew what could become a saint by virtue. The benefits of this golden light of merit are really great. My current strength should be the same as the legendary Khufu Hawaii, right? The golden light of merit disappeared, and Su Qingni felt many more sights coming from all directions of the prehistoric world. The owner of these sights, Wu Ai, was not a powerful existence, and she could not afford to offend him. Su Qingni shuddered and wanted to dig a hole in the ground to hide and escape the baptism of these sights. Fortunately, the sights did not stay on her for long before they were all taken back. Su Qingni breathed a sigh of relief and said goodbye to Yan, who was already old and frail. Her appearance has not changed at all in decades. The people of the human race have long understood her extraordinariness and knew that the human race could not keep the strong man. After Su Qingni proposed to leave, they were not sad, and they just sent Su Qingni out more than 20 miles together. Su Qingni waved goodbye to everyone. Su Qingni was reluctant to leave them. Originally, she also had human blood. She was feeling a little sad, and was about to comfort herself and encourage herself, when suddenly, a figure appeared in front of Su Qingni. The familiar face made Su Qingni blurt out, "Empress Pingxin. I'm not Pingxin, I'm How To." The person in front of her spoke, and she looked at Su Qingni carefully, and said in confusion, "I feel my breath and mark from you, but I'm sure I haven't seen you. Little girl, tell me, who are you? How come there is my mark on your body?" The person in front of her was How To. It was really planting flowers with care, but they don't bloom, planting willows by accident, but they grow into shade. Su Qingni quickly bowed and said respectfully to the person in front of her, "Ancestor How To, my name is Su Qingni, and the mark on my body was placed by Empress Pingxin, that is, you in the future." The future me. How To was surprised. With her hundreds of millions of years of experience and knowledge, there was nothing that could surprise her, and Su Qingni's words surprised her for the first time. She had a premonition that something big that could change the entire prehistoric world was about to happen. Chapter 6, telling How To about the history of the ancient times. Ancestor, it's not convenient to talk here. Su Qingni originally wanted to tell How To about her origins in detail, but then she thought of the situation when she was scanned by the eyes of the great powers in the prehistoric times. What she said was heard by other great powers, so she quickly changed the words on her lips. How To frowned, suddenly stretched out her hand to grab Su Qingni's collar, and disappeared on the spot. Su Qingni only felt a flash in front of her eyes, and when she looked carefully, she found that she had changed her place and was standing in a tall and wide stone palace. There was a simple stone chair on the steps of the palace, and How To, who was originally beside her, had sat on the chair. "This is my palace. Even Daozu can't spy on the situation here. If you have anything to say, just tell me," How To said. "Yes, ancestor." Su Qingni said, "I come from a long time in the future. In the future, except for the goddess Pingxin who was transformed by the ancestor, I will be the only one left in the witch clan." "What did you say?" How To's eyes widened. "How could there be only you and me left in the witch clan? And what about the goddess Pingxin? Where are my brothers? Why are they not here? And the other members of the clan, what happened to them? What happened in the future?" The witch clan. Faced with How To's series of questions, Su Qingni didn't know which one to answer. When How To stopped asking questions, she said, "Ancestor, it's a long story. Just listen to me slowly. In the prehistoric world, There will be a Hunan catastrophe every 50,000 yuan hu. The last Hunan catastrophe was the Dragon and Phoenix catastrophe. The Dragon clan, the Phoenix clan and the Killing clan fought a great battle. The three clans suffered heavy casualties and withdrew from the prehistoric stage. Only then did our Witch clan and the Monster clan have the opportunity to occupy the prehistoric continent and form the Heavenly Court. Now, 50,000 yuan who have passed, and the second catastrophe is about to come. The protagonists of the second catastrophe are the Witch clan and the Monster clan. Hearing this, Hao Tu's face changed drastically. She knew why there would only be one Wu clan bloodline left in the future. After joining the Heaven and Earth calamity, they became the protagonists. Their tragic ending can be imagined. Look at the three clans of Dragon, Phoenix and Unicorn. The Dragon clan had to guard the four seas, the Phoenix clan suppressed the volcanoes, and the remaining members of the Unicorn clan became mounts for others. Only then did the three clans survive and not be wiped out. The Wu clan is the descendant of the great god Pangu. They are very tough and will never bow down like others in order to survive. The Wu clan will fight to the last man. Hao Tu moved her lips, but still swallowed all the questions in her mind. She did not interrupt Su Qingni's narration, but listened more attentively. The conflict between the two tribes became more and more intense, and the final fuse was the 10 suns soaring to the sky, Khufu chasing the sun, and Hawaii shooting the sun. The ancestor saw that the soul of the Saint Queen of the prehistoric creatures had nowhere to go, and he felt compassion. He stood by the blood river for 100 years, and was finally enlightened by the way of heaven. His body turned into the 6 reincarnations to provide a way for the soul to reincarnate. The ancestor's true body turned into the netherworld hell, but his true spirit did not dissipate. He shaped his body with merits and became the Queen of Peace. In the final battle, except for you, the ancestor, the other 11 ancestors of the 12 witches all died. The Witch clan suffered heavy losses. Only a small part survived because of their lack of strength, and could only retreat to a place called Jiuli to live. The losses of the Demon clan were also not small. The Demon Emperor Jun died in the final battle, Dong Huang Tai blew up his soul, and the 10 demon generals were almost all wiped out. The human race gradually rose up and fought with the descendants of the Witch clan for the right to rule the earth. The human race is the master of the earth recognized by the heaven. Even though the individual strength of the Witch clan is strong, and there is a powerful existence like Chiyo who is not inferior to the Great Witch, the Witch clan still failed in the end. The people of the Witch clan lived together with a human race and intermarried with a human race. The bloodline was gradually diluted. Tens of millions of years later, the bloodline of the Witch clan was diluted by the human race and almost disappeared. Su Qingni closed her mouth and stood quietly under Danbi, waiting for Hao Tu's reaction. Hao Tu wanted to not believe Su Qingni's words, but she knew that Su Qingni's words were true. Suddenly, Hao Tu's right hand waved towards Su Qingni, and Su Qingni's body involuntarily floated in front of her and floated. Hao Tu's right index finger pointed at the middle of Su Qingni's eyebrows, and a white light flew out from the center of Su Qingni's eyebrows. Su Qingni blinked her eyes. What's going on with this light? It was very similar to the light spot that Empress Pingxin pointed at her computer and sent information to. Could it be that Empress Pingxin had made this light spot and had kept it in her head without her noticing? Hao Tu had already let her go, waved her hand to take the light spot into her palm, pressed it into her brow, and closed her eyes. After a long while, Hao Tu opened her eyes. Her temperament had changed slightly, less tough and more kind, more like Empress Pingxin's temperament. Ancestor, what are you doing? Su Qingni asked in confusion. Hao Tu smiled slightly. I have accepted the memories of my future self, so naturally there have been some changes. So that's it, the light spot is Empress Pingxin's memory. Could it be that her mission is to send Empress Pingxin's memory to Hao Tu? Hao Tu said again, your mission is completed, what reward do you want? Su Qingni shook her head, no, I am also a member of the Wu clan. It is my duty to work for the Wu clan. How can I ask for a reward? Moreover, she has already obtained the greatest benefits, the protection of merit, the peak strength of a great witch, and a nearly infinite lifespan. Power and wealth are nothing to her who is considered a deity. What else does she need? You mean magic weapons? Forget it. The Wu clan relies on itself. Magic weapons are rarely used. There are few magic weapons in the Wu clan. Hao Tu may not have any magic weapons. Wouldn't it be embarrassing to ask her for them? You have made great contributions, so a reward is necessary. We in the witch clan have clear rewards and punishments, and it is absolutely not acceptable to not reward someone for his or her contributions. How To thought for a moment and said, you are now a great witch, and you won't need other rewards. How about this? I have a cultivation method that I realized when I went to the Taoist master in Zixio Palace, so I'll teach it to you. How To couldn't help but sigh when she said this. I realized this cultivation method when I listened to the Taoist master's teachings. I originally wanted to use it for myself and my brothers to practice, but when we were about to practice, we found a problem. Su Qingni asked curiously, what's the problem? The method is returned to her if there is a problem? Is this a reward or a punishment? Should she practice or not? How To saw Su Qingni's entanglement and said, don't worry, this problem is a problem for us and other witches, but it is not a problem for you. Su Qingni. How To said, this technique cultivates the primordial spirit, and the witches do not have primordial spirits. You are different. You are a hybrid of the human race and the witches, and you are born with a primordial spirit. Although the human bloodline has now been completely expelled by the witch bloodline, the primordial spirit has not been affected at all. Your primordial spirit is still relatively weak, weaker than the primordial spirits of other creatures in the prehistoric continent, but as long as you practice this technique I have realized, your primordial spirit will gradually grow. By then, if you can cultivate both the body and the primordial spirit, even if you cannot become a saint, your strength will not be worse than that of a quasi-saint. Su Qingni's eyes lit up when she heard this. Do you have a primordial spirit? This news is the best news for her. Although the Wu clan is powerful, strong and has a long lifespan, they do not have a soul. If they die, they are really dead. Unlike other tribes, they can be reincarnated and can directly use their souls to practice after their bodies die. That is the real immortality. Su Qingni looked at How To expectantly. How To smiled lightly, and a little white light came out of her fingertips and shot towards Su Qingni's eyebrows. Su Qingni, How To and Pingxin are indeed the same person. After receiving the information in her mind, it was indeed a very profound practice method. If she had the experience she had on Earth, she would definitely not understand a single word. However, she had lived in the prehistoric world for hundreds of years and practiced for hundreds of years. Her experience increased a lot, and her realm reached the peak of the golden immortal. But she still only understood 30% of it, and didn't understand most of it. If you don't understand something, you can ask me. How To opened her mouth and pointed again. A cinnabar-colored red mark appeared on Su Qingni's left arm, like a flower. With this mark, you can enter and exit How To Palace at will in the future. Su Qingni hurriedly thanked. How To said, go out and find Hao Yi's wife Change first, and ask her to help you arrange a place to live. You live there first, so that I can summon you at any time. Yes. Su Qingni bowed and responded, and stepped back to leave Hao To Palace. Hao Yi and Change are both very famous figures in legends. When Su Qingni saw them, she felt that they were worthy of their reputations. Hao Yi was brave and Change was beautiful. There were many beauties in the prehistoric world, but none of them could be more beautiful than Change, or even comparable to her. Change's beauty cannot be described in words, as if all the spiritual energy between heaven and earth gathered on her alone. Even Su Qingni, a girl, felt her heartbeat faster after seeing Change, and she didn't want to look at other women after seeing her. Hello, Qingni, the ancestor How To has sent me a message. I have arranged a place for you to stay. Change smiled at Su Qingni, and at that moment, it seemed as if all the flowers were blooming. Hello. Su Qingni quickly calmed down before she could greet Change as usual. Thank you. You're welcome, this is what I should do. Change smiled and led Su Qingni to the place she arranged for her. It was right next to her and Hao Yi's residence. It was a small house that had just been built. It could shelter them from the wind and rain, but nothing else. In fact, with the physique of the Wu clan, even if they couldn't shelter them from the wind and rain, they wouldn't get sick. Su Qingni saw Hao Yi returning from hunting when the sun was setting. Hao Yi looked ordinary, but he had a fierce aura that no one else had. Chapter 7 Meeting the 12 Ancestral Witches. Hao Yi is cold on the outside but warm on the inside. His expression towards people is very serious and indifferent. Only when he treats Change, his expression is like ice and snow, and his eyes are full of love for Change. Change invited Su Qingni to have dinner with him, but Su Qingni refused. She didn't want to eat dog food. In the future, Su Qingni stayed in her house to study the cultivation method that Hao Tu gave her. This method is called Hununju. In addition to the main cultivation of the soul, as Hao Tu said, it also includes a little cultivation of time and space and reincarnation. These two things are what Su Qingni can't understand no matter what. There is no way, she can only cultivate part of the soul first, and she wrote down the two parts about time and space and reincarnation, and asked Hao Tu when she is free. A month later, Su Qingni received a call from Hao Tu and went to Hao Tu Temple. There is not only Hao Tu in Hao Tu Temple, but also the other 11 ancestor witches have come to Hao Tu Temple. Among the 12 witch ancestors, except for Hao Tu, who is quite good-looking and completely human-shaped, the appearance of the other witch ancestors is really hard to describe in Su Qingni's eyes. However, humans and witches have different aesthetics. In the eyes of other witches, the appearance of the 12 witch ancestors is the best-looking and most majestic, right? Is this girl sent by your future self? Zhu Jiuan spoke first, scanning Su Qingni thoroughly with his eyes, and then nodded. This girl is not bad, her strength has caught up with Hao Yi and Xiang Liu and others. Di Jiang nodded. This child has made a great contribution to the adventure of traveling through time and space. You know, if you are not careful, she will disappear in the turbulence of time and space. Su Qingni broke out in a cold sweat. Is traveling through time and space really that dangerous? Hao Tu saw Su Qingni's expression and smiled softly. Brother, you scared this child. Qingni, don't be afraid. Although traveling through time and space has risks, as long as you practice the magic related to time and space, these risks will be reduced. Brother is a master of space and is very knowledgeable about time and space. I also learned some related knowledge from him. Pingxin naturally understands the law of time and space. She is determined to send people back to the present era. She must have studied the law of time and space for a long time and will never allow any accidents. Su Qingni laughed. The 12 witch ancestors called Su Qingni to discuss the future of the witch clan with her. Su Qingni is an insider and has lived in the future of information explosion. Hao Tu thinks that this child should give some useful suggestions. Su Qingni stood aside and listened quietly to the 12 witch ancestors' discussion on how to face the future catastrophe. Although in many prehistoric novels, the 12 witch ancestors are described as having a developed mind and simple limbs, if that is true, how can they lead a huge tribe? The 12 witch ancestors have different personalities. Some are thoughtful, some are smart and wise. Even if some are simple-minded, their experience of millions of years can make up for some shortcomings. Su Qingni listened to the discussion of the witch ancestors and felt that their ideas were good, but the problem was that they overlooked the most important point, the way of heaven. The way of heaven destined the witch clan to be the one who is doomed. If heaven wanted the witch clan to perish, what was the point of them just wanting to kill all the monsters? The monsters were not vegetarians either. The 10 great monster generals of the monster emperor Donghuang and many monster generals and monster masters who had their own little calculations in mind were all strong, and the Saint Nu was born in the monster clan. The witch clan could win 3 or 4 times with strategies, but after the monster clan reacted, it was not easy to defeat them. You have to know that the wisdom of the monster clan is not low. Qingni, what do you think? Hao Tu asked, and she noticed the disapproval in the girl's eyes. The eyes of the other 11 witch ancestors were all focused on Su Qingni because of Hao Tu's words, which made the girl feel stressed. Su Qingni spoke with a soft voice, my fellow ancestors, the strategies you mentioned are all good, but you have chosen the wrong enemy. The biggest enemy of the witch clan is not the demon clan, but the heavenly Dao. The heavenly Dao has chosen the witch clan and the demon clan as pawns for the second catastrophe. The heavenly Dao wants the witch clan to perish. The heavenly Dao is our enemy. How to? The other 11 witch ancestors. There was silence in the palace for a long, long time. This long time was really a long time, at least 3 days and 3 nights. If Su Qingni was not already human, she would have collapsed after not eating, drinking or sleeping for 3 days. But for her now, it was no problem at all. On the 3rd day, the first ray of morning light in the sky shone on the earth, and there was a reaction in the palace. Di Jiang sighed deeply and said, yes, our enemy is actually the heavenly Dao. Heaven wants to destroy our Wu clan. She said bitterly, so what about the heavenly Dao? Are we Wu clan afraid of it? We are descendants of the great god Pangu. Who have we ever feared? If the heavenly Dao dares to plot against us, we will break the heaven. Hao Tu smiled bitterly, third brother, the heavenly Dao is invisible and intangible. We cannot find or catch it. How can we fight it? Even Hongjin, the spokesperson of the heavenly Dao, is a saint-level existence. The 12 of us who form the 12 capitals of heaven formation cannot fight against Hongjin. Everyone was silent again, but this time the silence was shorter. After a moment, Xian Wu said, even if we can't win, we have to fight. We Wu clan people can only die standing, not living on our knees. Everyone else nodded. How to asked Su Qingni again, you brought up the enemy of the heavenly Dao, but do you have any way to deal with it? Su Qingni shook her head, no. The heavenly Dao is such a great existence, how can she deal with him? The heavenly Dao can kill her with a random thunderbolt. No, he won't die from the lightning. He forgot that he is no longer a weakling, but a powerful wizard. A bolt of lightning is just a tickle to himself. Su Qingni said, there is no way to fight against the way of heaven, but we can fool it. Fool the way of heaven? How can we fool the way of heaven? Guangong asked. Su Qingni said, unite with a demon clan, and put on a show with a demon clan for heaven to see. Unite with a demon clan. The 12 witch ancestors all frowned. The hot-tempered Zhu Rong shouted, what are you thinking about, little girl? You actually want us to unite with a demon clan? You want us to bow to the demon clan. We are not bowing to the demon clan, but cooperating with the demon clan. Su Qingni said hurriedly, heaven is plotting against the witch clan and the demon clan, and heaven is also the biggest enemy of the demon clan. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Since we are facing the same crisis, why don't our two clans cooperate? The 12 witch ancestors began to think after hearing this. After a while, Qiang Liang said, the conflict between the witch clan and the demon clan has worsened a lot. Many people have died on both sides. I'm afraid they are unwilling to listen to our reasons why we want to cooperate with them and will directly reject us. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Cooperation with the Demon Tribe. If we refuse once, there will be a second time, a third time. Rushao pondered for a moment and said, the Demon Emperor Dijun is a man with a lot of thoughts and ideas. We have repeatedly proposed cooperation requests. I don't know what he will think of. He may meet with us secretly. That is our chance to convince him. Yanzi nodded, although we have often had conflicts with the demon tribe in recent years, and many people have been killed and injured, this conflict is nothing compared to the crisis of the extinction of the tribe. As long as we explain the reasons and pros and cons clearly, Dijun is likely to cooperate with us. Zhu Rong, but will Dijun believe us? Dijang said in a deep voice, yes. Dijun is a smart man. We will pass the information to Dijun later, but this information must be passed secretly, and it must not be discovered by Xiandao or Hongjin. Everyone nodded. Su Qingni was sent away. She didn't know how the 12 ancestral witches would contact the demon emperor Dijun. Su Qingni began to practice Chaos Ju again. During this period, she went to How To ask for advice on the content of time, space and reincarnation that she didn't understand. How To explained it to her in great detail, and it took 3 years to do so. However, he only covered a small part of it, and there was still a large part that he had not covered. However, Dijong's message interrupted their teaching activities. How To brought Su Qingni to Dijong's palace. When they entered the palace, Su Qingni's sight was attracted by 4 strangers. These 4 people sat on the chairs on the right side below the danbi. Nowadays, chairs and other furniture have been popularized in the entire witch clan. The palaces of the 12 ancestor witches also have many practical furniture, which are more beautiful than ordinary people's furniture. In order to show respect for them, Dijang did not sit on the chair on the danbi, but sat on the first position on the left hand. There were 11 chairs placed below, and now 10 of them were full, leaving an empty chair for How To. How To walked to the empty chair and sat down. Su Qingni stood behind her very consciously, just in time to look at the 4 strangers face to face. The 2 people sitting in the first and second positions were wearing golden robes, and it seemed that there was a flame burning on the robes. Although their hair was black, the ends of their hair were fiery red. Both of them are very handsome, and they are the most handsome men Su Qingni has seen since she came to this world. Both of them have noble temperaments. The man sitting in the first seat has a more mature temperament, while the man sitting in the second seat has a cold expression. The cold temperament and the appearance like a flame make him look contradictory but full of charm. These two people should be the famous three-legged golden crow in the prehistoric world, the demon emperor Dijun and Dong Huangtai, right? Dong Huangtai is so charming in both appearance and temperament, and is Su Qingni's favorite dish, but the two people's positions are naturally opposite, and it is impossible to develop a super friendship relationship. What a pity. Su Qingni sighed in her heart and swept her eyes to the two people sitting in the third and fourth seats. These two are also handsome guys. One of them is wearing white clothes, and the other is wearing green clothes. One has a refined temperament and a wise feeling, and the other is like an unruly wind. Su Qingni guessed the identities of these two people in her heart. To be brought to the Witch Clan Holy Land by Dijun and Tai, the identities of these two people must be not low. They should be one of the top 10 demon generals, but I don't know which two of them they are. At this time the demon emperor Dijun spoke. Dijang, is everyone here? If you have anything to say, just get straight to the point. Our time is very precious. Dijang looked at his 11 brothers and sisters, and the 12 ancestor witches acted in unison. Immediately, layer upon layer of barriers rose outside the palace, tightly sealing off the space inside the palace. The faces of the 4 demons changed drastically, and the man in green jumped up and shouted, "Okay, Dijang, you actually used tricks to deceive us and want to harm us. What has become so sinister about your witch clan?" Dijang retracted his hand and said, "You misunderstood. We set up the barrier not to deal with you, but to prevent our conversation from being overheard by others." The man in green sneered, "This is the holy land of your witch clan. Who has such a great ability to eavesdrop on the conversation on your territory?" Dijang said in a deep voice, "Hongjin, he has such a skill. The Taoist has been hiding in the Zixio palace and has not been concerned with worldly affairs. How could he eavesdrop on our conversation like a scoundrel?" Dijang did not answer the question of the man in green, but looked at Dijun. "What do you say?" Dijun's thin lips moved slightly, and a low and magnetic voice like a cello sounded, "Fei Lian, sit down and listen to what they say." It turns out that the man in green is the wind god Fei Lian. No wonder he has an unruly temperament, like the wind. Is the wise man in white the Baizan, who is said to know everything from astronomy and geography to the trivialities of life, and to know the future through the past? Just when Su Qingni was distracted, Dijang had already explained it clearly to Dijun. Everyone communicated with their minds, which was much faster and more convenient than speaking. The faces of Dijun and the other 4 became very ugly. They did not doubt Dijang's words, because Dijang had no need to make up such a reason to deceive them. Su Qingni. Ah! Su Qingni heard someone calling her and quickly came back to her senses. The person who called her was Dijang. "Come forward." Su Qingni didn't understand, so she walked forward honestly and came to the center of the two sides. Dijang said to Dijun, "This child was sent by the future how-to. Her mind stores future information and the future direction of the prehistoric world. You can see what's in her mind for yourself." Su Qingni was shocked when she heard this. Is this a soul search? Will she become an idiot if her soul is searched? Su Qingni looked at Dijang pitifully. "Ancestor, after all, I am a member of the Wu clan. Are you going to sacrifice me so carelessly?" Dijang saw her resentment and said soothingly, "Don't worry, nothing will happen." Dijun also spoke, "Little girl, this emperor is just taking a look at your memory. It won't have any impact on you. Since the 2 big guys have made a guarantee, just believe it for the time being." Su Qingni looked at Dijun with trepidation. Dijun stretched out his right index finger, and a golden light emerged from his finger. The golden light flew into the center of Su Qingni's eyebrows, and then flew out from the center of her eyebrows. Before Su Qingni could react, the golden light was retracted into Dijun's finger. Su Qingni touched her forehead. "Is that the end? I really don't feel anything at all." On the other side, Dijun had already digested the information brought back by the golden light, and a shocked look appeared on his face. In the future, even gods will no longer exist. Chapter 9, Saving Little Golden Crow. The information in Su Qingni's mind shocked the 4 people of the demon clan. The demon clan began to pay attention to the war between witches and liches. The 4 people began to discuss with the 12 witch ancestors of the witch clan. Su Qingni finally knew that the man in white was really Baizet. This discussion lasted for 2 years, and the 2 parties customized a complete plan. Su Qingni felt uncomfortable when she saw this plan. "Ancestor, is it really necessary to do this?" Su Qingni's eyes were sore. After the implementation of this plan, less than half of the people in this palace can survive. Hao Tu smiled kindly and said, "Don't cry, child. This is the best result. Sacrificing a few of us can save hundreds of millions of lives of the two clans. But you don't have to die. Isn't it okay to fake death?" Su Qingni's nose began to feel sour. Fake death can't deceive the way of heaven, nor can it deceive Hongjin. Dijiang interrupted, "And in your original history, even if we didn't implement this plan, we didn't survive." "Oh, that's right. So this is waste utilization? How can you say that all of you big guys are useless?" After the plan was discussed, the 4 people from the demon clan were about to leave. Su Qingni looked at Dong Huangtai reluctantly. Such a handsome face, she would never have the chance to see it again in the future. "Little girl, why do you always peek at me?" Dong Huangtai suddenly spoke. No, nothing." Su Qingni was caught peeking and her face turned red like a tomato. It was so embarrassing. Dong Huangtai snorted coldly, and Su Qingni shivered with fear. She quickly found an excuse. I just want to remind the 4 of you of something, but I don't know how to say it. Whatever it is, just tell me." Dong Huangtai ordered. Su Qingni choked, and her mind quickly turned, and she finally found a good reason. The plan formulated by the 2 tribes. "I hope you 4 will not tell the Demon Master Kunpeng. The status of the Demon Master Kunpeng in the heaven is very high, higher than the 10 demon generals, only below the Demon Emperor and the East Emperor, and he is the 3rd in command of the Demon Tribe Heaven. He is also very powerful, and the heaven cannot get around this person for anything." However, Su Qingni thought of the prehistoric novels she had read in the past. In most novels, Kunpeng was not positive. When the demon tribe and the witch tribe fought in the final battle, he saw that the situation was not good, so he ran away, which was equivalent to stabbing the demon tribe heaven in the back. Su Qingni questioned his character, fearing that he would leak the plan after knowing it, which would cause huge losses to the 2 tribes. Why hide Kunpeng? Although Tai didn't like Kunpeng very much, Kunpeng was one of the high-level people of the demon tribe. If the demon tribe wanted to implement such a huge plan, it must not be concealed from Kunpeng. The demon emperor Jun had read Su Qingni's memory and knew why she didn't want Kunpeng to know the plan. Referring to Su Qingni's memory and evaluation of Kunpeng in his mind, combined with Kunpeng's own temperament, Dijun felt that Kunpeng's betrayal of the demon clan would happen in 9 out of 10 cases. Dijun said, "Thank you for your reminder, we will pay attention." Dong Huangtai didn't understand. "Brother Dijun, after returning, I will share my memories with you." "Okay." Dong Huangtai nodded in response, turned back and looked at Su Qingni deeply, and left with the demon emperor Dijun. The plan was carried out in an orderly manner. Su Qingni was assigned a task as one of the insiders. It was a very important task. She followed some great witches in the tribe and followed Dijiang to open up a new world independent of the prehistoric world with the demon clan. Su Qingni met Dong Huangtai again. He was the person in charge of the demon clan. He took some hidden powers of the demon clan to cooperate with the witch clan to open up the world in the name of seclusion. Opening up the world is a big project. It cannot be done overnight and takes a long time. Everyone knows that time is tight, and no one is lazy. Everyone works day and night. Once tired, practice instead of rest. This kind of high-intensity labor and practice actually greatly improved everyone's strength. Although Su Qingni was only at the peak of the Great Wizard, her practice of Hunilju had entered a good state, her soul was extremely strong, and her soul cultivation surpassed her physical cultivation and reached the quasi-saint realm. Tens of thousands of years passed in a flash, and the world had taken shape. During these tens of thousands of years, many things happened in the prehistoric continent. The hatred between the witches and liches became more and more serious, and it had reached the point of life and death. On this day, Dijiang sent a witch with only one breath left to the new world. Su Qingni recognized that the owner was Khufu. The legend of Khufu chasing the sun had already happened. Dijiang used the method of space transmission to save Khufu when he only had one breath left, deceiving the way of heaven. In the prehistoric world, Khufu had died. After a few days, Dijiang and Tai went out together, and when they came back, they brought back 9 dying little golden crows. The legend of Hao Ye shooting down the sun also happened. This time, Dijiang and Tai joined forces to save the 9 little golden crows and deceive the heaven. Tai gave the little golden crows medicine for their wounds, and they came back to life not long after. Seeing Kwafu and Dijiang standing by, the little golden crows angrily bumped into them, wanting to fight the Wu people for 300 rounds. Tai Yi hurriedly stopped the 9 reckless nephews. Don't move, stand still. Second uncle, why don't you fight those Wu people? Why are you stopping us? The little golden crows screamed. They are your lifesavers. Tai Yi said. What? The little golden crows were dumbfounded. Uncle, you are not stupid, are you? It was the people of the Wu clan who shot us with arrows, and you still say they are our benefactors? Uncle, are you really our uncle? Or are you a Wu clan person? Hey, monster, show your true form. Uncle, come out quickly, someone is impersonating you. Uncle. The little golden crows screamed in unison, like 4,500 ducks. Tai was so annoyed by their screams that black lines appeared on his forehead. Do these naughty kids have no brains? Who in the world dares to impersonate him? Dong Hoang Tai. And if the Wu clan really wanted to shoot them to death, they could still jump around and shout to fight with them? Alice, how could his eldest brother, who is so smart and so black-bellied, give birth to a group of simple-minded naughty kids? Tai only felt tired, but Dijiang and others found it interesting and laughed at the side. Little 1, little 2, little 3, little 4, little 5, little 7, little 8, little 9, little 10, what are you doing? As the voice sounded, the demon emperor Dijiang appeared in everyone's sight. The 9th brother saw his father and immediately rushed over. Father, someone is pretending to be my second uncle. Dijiang looked at Tai in confusion, and Tai gave him a helpless look. Chapter 10. The war is over. After listening to their father's assurance, the 9 naughty children finally realized that the Wu clan was not their enemy as they thought on the surface, but their partners in secret. The 9 little guys then calmed down, shook hands with Kufu, and lived together in the new world. The new world has become more and more perfect, and Dong Hoang Tai has contributed his companion artifact Dong Hoang Bell to the center of the world to suppress the luck of this world. The new world is already habitable. The concentration of spiritual energy is not as high as the average concentration of spiritual energy in the prehistoric world, and it is a little worse than the concentration of spiritual energy in the west of the prehistoric world, but it is already very remarkable. The 2 tribes began to secretly transfer their people to the new world. Su Qingni returned to Yaoxi tribe and transferred all the people of the tribe to the new world. Yaoxi tribe is a very small tribe in the Wu clan. Even if all the people of the tribe disappeared, outsiders would not notice it. Going back and forth between the new world and the Wu clan's residents, the news in the prehistoric world is much more informed than before. Su Qingni knew that the legend of change flying to the moon also happened. Behind the moon flying was the plan of the saints, but because change only flew to the moon, Hawaii lost his memory and turned into Wu Gang, and there was no danger of life. The witch clan did not intervene for fear of exposing too much. They wanted to wait until all the crises were over before looking for Wu Gang to restore his memory. Before Hawaii went to find change again, Ryu Osho asked him to back up a copy of his memory and put it in the witch clan. Hao Tu still turned into reincarnation and became the Queen of Peace, and the final battle finally began. While the powerful people were fighting to death, all the attention of the prehistoric world was attracted. Under the command of Su Qingni and others, the other tribesmen of the 2 tribes of witches and demons all moved to the new world. In the end, all the tribesmen entered the new world, and Su Qingni came to the periphery of the battlefield and looked at the battlefield of the war. The fighting on the battlefield was very intense and exciting. In order to confuse the way of heaven and the spokesperson of the way of heaven, the demon king Dong Hoang and the demon generals and the 11 ancestor witches really fought to death. They all knew that they were the ones that the heavenly Dao cared about the most. On the contrary, the heavenly Dao didn't care much about the ordinary demons and witches. Even if they left the prehistoric world, the heavenly Dao of the prehistoric world would not chase them to the new world. But they couldn't do that. The prehistoric heavenly Dao would never allow them to live, so they had already prepared themselves for death. Dijun and Dijiang looked at each other, with similar crazy smiles of understanding in their eyes. The prehistoric heavenly Dao wanted to destroy them, and they couldn't resist with their strength, but they could still add some trouble to the prehistoric heavenly Dao. This battle was extremely tragic. Mount Buzhao was hit by Gongguang, and the Cheyenne fell into the mortal world, and all living beings were in ruins. After the prehistoric continent was shattered by the battle between Luohao and Hongjun, it was shattered even more this time. Many prehistoric fragments flowed into the chaos and could never be found again. The saints of the prehistoric world were busy mending the sky and saving other living beings. No one paid attention to the battlefield anymore. In fact, almost all the people on the battlefield were dead, so they didn't need to pay attention to it anymore. The 11 witch ancestors died, the demon Emperor Jun died, 7 of the 10 demon commanders died, and the soul of Dong Huangtai exploded, and the whole person disappeared from this world. Others of the demon clan still have souls and can enter the 6 reincarnations, but Dong Huangtai's soul has almost completely dissipated, and he has no chance to enter the 6 reincarnations. Similar to him are the 11 witch ancestors. The witch clan has no soul, and when they die completely, without the chance of reincarnation. Su Qingni shed tears sadly. After tens of thousands of years of getting along, she and the 11 witch ancestors and Dong Huangtai are already very familiar. Seeing these familiar people die in front of her, how can she not feel sad and uncomfortable? Niangniang Pingxin suddenly appeared beside Su Qingni and said to her, "Follow me." Su Qingni followed Niangniang Pingxin to the underworld. This is Niangniang Pingxin's territory. Hongjin can't see what happens here or hear what people say here. Empress Pingxin called Su Qingni to her side, reached out and touched Su Qingni's hair, and said to her with pity and trust, "Qingni, there are no more 12 witch ancestors in the world now. The witch clan will rely on you in the future. In the future, you will be the leader of the witch clan." Empress. Su Qingni was shocked. Empress Pingxin smiled and said, "You can't refuse. Now you are the most powerful person in the witch clan. If you don't take the burden of the witch clan, who will take it? Child, don't refuse anymore. This is a decision made by my brothers and I." Su Qingni thought of Dijiang and others, her eyes were red again, and she no longer refused this responsibility. She nodded vigorously, "Empress, don't worry, I will definitely be a good leader of the witch clan, protect and manage the clan members, and never let the witch clan bloodline be cut off." Empress Pingxin said with confidence, "I believe in you, you will never let me down." After leaving the underworld, Su Qingni went straight back to the new world. The heavenly Dao of the prehistoric world had already discovered the existence of the new world, but the witches and demons worked together to disconnect the new world from the prehistoric world, so that the heavenly Dao of the prehistoric world could no longer control the new world. The new world was completely independent and became a paradise for the demons and witches to live together. After years of secret cooperation between the two tribes, the contradictions had been eliminated. Since then, everyone has lived in peace and settled down. However, the new world has a back door connected to the netherworld, which is convenient for Empress Pingxin to visit her people in the new world. If the witches and demons want to go to the prehistoric world, they can go through the netherworld. However, now the people of the two tribes are still afraid of the prehistoric world and are dissatisfied with the heavenly Dao of the prehistoric world, so they will not go to the prehistoric world again. Entrusted by Baizhou, Empress Pingxin personally arranged the reincarnation of the demons who died in the last stop. Some of Dijun's broken souls were also among them, but there was no soul of Dong Huangtai. Emperor Jun did not see his brother's soul and was unwilling to enter the reincarnation, so Empress Pingxin forcefully pushed him into the reincarnation. "Damn it, why are you acting so sad and heartbroken in front of me? My 11 brothers are not qualified to reincarnate, and I am not like you." Su Qingni sneaked to the prehistoric continent to see Emperor Jun's reincarnation. He was born as a human in this life. His surname was Feng and his name was Yunruo. He had a very good aptitude for cultivation. When he grew up, he became the most powerful being in the human race. He was elected as the leader of the human race by his people. Hundreds of years later, he became an immortal because of his merits and was honored as the Emperor of Heaven by the world, also known as Surin. After Surin, Fuxi was reincarnated and became the leader of the human race. He managed the human race for hundreds of years. He also became an immortal because of his merits and became one of the 3 emperors. After that, geniuses continued to emerge in the human race. They were all reincarnations of ancient powerful people. Finally, Jizuinun stepped onto the stage of history. Chapter 11, The Ancestral Witch Has a True Spirit. Soon after Jizuinun became the leader of the human race, a witch tribe emerged in the Jiuli area. The leader was called Qi Yu. Su Qingni was very surprised. The people of the witch tribe were in the new world. How did Qi Yu and his people appear? It was still Lady Pingxin who solved her puzzle. These people are actually mixed blood of the human race and the witch tribe. Not all the witch tribe members left the prehistoric continent. Some tribesmen who were close to the human race were left behind. The main reason was that they were afraid that they would leak secrets to the human race. Anyway, there were not many of them, so they kept more and released less. Therefore, these tribesmen were abandoned by the entire witch tribe. These tribesmen lived together with a human race and gave birth to children with the blood of the two tribes. It has been passed down to Chi Yu's generation. He and his 81 brothers have experienced atavism. The witch blood in their bodies crushed and expelled the human blood like Su Qingni, and became a real witch tribe. After all, this child is also a witch. If you can help, help him. After Lady Pingxin gave Su Qingni an order, she entered the retreat again. Since the end of the war between witches and liches, Empress Pingxin has spent more than half of her time in seclusion. Now that she is bound to the 6 reincarnations, she cannot improve her realm even if she practices. I really don't know why Empress Pingxin is working so hard. Could it be that she was stimulated by the scene of the last battle? Su Qingni nodded and agreed, hiding in the dark and watching the war between Su Qingni and Chi Yu. As a witch abandoned by the way of heaven, Chi Yu is born to suffer a lot. No matter how strong he is, how loyal his brothers are, and how many friends he asks for help, he still loses. Chi Yu was captured by Su Qingni, who wanted to kill Chi Yu and dismember him, and bury his body in different places for suppression, for fear that Chi Yu's body would be resurrected if it was intact. Su Qingni replaced Chi Yu's body. Chi Yu's ability is very special. As long as the body is intact, he can really be resurrected. Su Qingni brought the resurrected Chi Yu and his brothers back to the new world, and they quickly integrated into the life of the Wu clan. Chi Yu is not only strong in individual strength but also has leadership ability, otherwise Su Qingni would not regard him as the biggest opponent. Su Qingni assigned many things in the clan to Chi Yu to deal with. Chi Yu completed it very well. Su Qingni was more optimistic about his ability and secretly listed him as the successor of the clan leader. Time is really nothing for the ancient gods. Soon, thousands of years passed. The continent of the prehistoric world was completely occupied by humans. Humans established dynasties, and dynasties rose and fell. In a blink of an eye, it was the end of the Shang dynasty. Su Qingni watched the battle of the gods and saw that the saints were locked up in the chaotic heaven by the heavenly way. There could be no more saints on the continent, and the heavenly way became more and more perfect. Because the heavenly way is perfect, people in the new world can no longer come to the prehistoric world through the netherworld, except Su Qingni. Perhaps Su Qingni's soul came from the future, with the imprint of future human society, and the prehistoric heavenly way was more likely to accept her, allowing her to walk in the prehistoric world. The perfection of the heavenly way also affected several world fragments far from the prehistoric world, with the prehistoric world as the foundation, and projected on the fragments. There were also human races on the fragments, and there were changes in dynasties. The early historical development was very similar to the prehistoric world, but the fragmented world gradually became perfect, and the development of history became different from the prehistoric world, no longer a projection of the prehistoric history. At least, the prehistoric world has always been full of spiritual energy, and the cultivation system of living in the prehistoric continent still exists, while some other worlds have less spiritual energy, and some have no spiritual energy, so they have developed various civilization systems suitable for their own worlds, such as cultivation civilization, martial arts civilization, and technological civilization that has risen like the Earth because of the decline of spiritual energy. Yes, the Earth is not the prehistoric continent, it is just a world developed from the fragments of the prehistoric continent. Because it is far away from the prehistoric world, only a small part of it receives the projection of the prehistoric world, and that area is the area where the flower country is located. The people of the flower country are all descendants of the prehistoric human race and the witch race, who drifted to the Earth with the fragments. The Western race and the African black race on the Earth were all bred by the world itself during the formation of the Earth. Because the prehistoric world has little impact on the Earth, the witch bloodline on the Earth can still be passed on, unlike the prehistoric native world and the world closer to the prehistoric world, where the prehistoric bloodline has been completely cut off. The netherworld is a special space. Whether it is the prehistoric world or other worlds, the souls of all living beings after death must enter the netherworld to wait for reincarnation. The netherworld also has projections in other worlds, and because of the different developments of each world, the netherworld is different. In some worlds, the netherworld has the existence of the 10 kings of hell. In some worlds, the netherworld is very weak, with only the judge in charge. In some netherworlds, there is only one king of hell. In some netherworlds, the ruler is the king of hell. No matter which netherworld, it is a subsidiary of the netherworld ruled by the Queen of Peace, and it is also the territory of the Queen of Peace. Lady Pingxin gave Su Qingni the right to walk freely in the netherworld, and Su Qingni could go to different worlds through those netherworlds. She only went back to Earth once, and at that time, Earth was already in the Tang dynasty. There was Emperor Taizong of Tang on Earth, but there was no journey to the west. In a world close to the prehistoric continent, Tang monk and his disciples were you carry the burden, I lead the horse, welcome the sunrise and send off the sunset, flatten the bumps into a road, fight the hardships and set off again. On this day, Su Qingni was practicing in her own territory, and suddenly received a message from Lady Pingxin, and Su Qingni hurried to the netherworld. Lady, you finally came out of retreat. Su Qingni said. She looked at Lady Pingxin carefully, and found that Lady Pingxin's realm really did not improve at all, so what was the purpose of Lady Pingxin's retreat? Yet, Lady Pingxin responded with a smile on her face. It's really rare. Since the last battle of the Lich, Lady Pingxin has never smiled again. What happened today? Empress, are you in a good mood? Su Qingni asked. Empress Pingxin smiled and nodded, and said to Su Qingni, Qingni, I found a way to bring my brothers back to life. Huh? Su Qingni was shocked. Did Niangniang and others die? How can they be resurrected without even a soul? Empress Pingxin asked Su Qingni to sit next to her and explained to her, although the people of the Wu clan do not have a primordial spirit, they will dissipate after death and do not even have a soul, but in fact, the Wu clan still has a soul. The soul of the Wu clan is different from the soul of other creatures. The soul of other creatures is 3 souls and 7 spirits, and they will keep their appearance before death after death. But the Wu clan does not have 3 souls and 7 spirits, only a little bit of true spirit. Chapter 12 Preparations before going to other worlds. The Witch clan does not have 3 souls and 7 spirits, only a little bit of true spirit. The true spirit cannot enter reincarnation and will gradually dissipate between heaven and earth. However, my brothers are the direct bloodline of the great god Pangu, and their true spirits are strong. Even if they are broken into pieces, they will not disappear completely after billions of years. I have now developed a method. As long as I can find half of the true spirits of my brothers, I can shape their souls, let them enter reincarnation, and come back to life. Empress Pingxin said happily. Su Qingni also smiled when she heard it, then congratulations, Empress. It's great that the ancestors Niangniang and others can be resurrected. Empress Pingxin smiled and said, I will go to collect the true spirit fragments of my brothers later. Do you want to go with me? Yes. Su Qingni nodded. Niangniang and others are very good to her, and she hopes to help them revive. Empress Pingxin took Su Qingni to the prehistoric world to find the true spirit fragments of the 11 ancestor witches. Unfortunately, the true spirits of Niangniang and others are too scattered, and it is not known which world they drifted to with the prehistoric fragments. Empress Pingxin and Su Qingni searched all over the prehistoric world, but they didn't even find 1/10 of the true spirits of Niangniang and others. Then the two of them used the netherworld to go to other worlds with projections of the netherworld to search, but they didn't find many, just 1/5 of each person's true spirit, which was far less than half of the true spirit. Empress Pingxin sat dejectedly in the Samsara hall, her eyes lost their usual brilliance, she didn't speak or move, just sat there, as if she would sit there until the end of time. Su Qingni accompanied her at first, and seemed to think of something during that time, so she left the Samsara hall for a while, and then returned to the Samsara hall. Empress, I want to go to other worlds to find the fragments of the true spirits of my ancestors. Su Qingni's words finally made Empress Pingxin react. We have searched other worlds, where are the fragments of my brother's true spirits? Su Qingni said, I want to go to a world we haven't been to. Empress Pingxin's eyes narrowed, and she said in surprise, a world we haven't been to? That is a world that the netherworld can't reach. How are you going to get there? Empress Pingxin knew that there were many worlds in the chaos, not just the worlds that were connected to the netherworld, but the question was how to get to these worlds? If the fragments of Niangniang and others' true spirits were really in these worlds, she would have no way to find them back. This made her almost desperate. Su Qingni said, I will go to other worlds the same way your majesty sent me back to the primordial world. Empress Pingxin shook her head, no, it's too dangerous. Time and space are too dangerous, even saints cannot pass through them. I plan to send you back to the primordial world for billions of years. Only by releasing the power accumulated over billions of years at once can we open the time and space channel and protect you back to the primordial world. Now we don't have the accumulated power, and you are only a quasi-saint, so you can't successfully cross the time and space channel. Su Qingni said, Your Majesty, I have mastered the Huninju. Empress Pingxin didn't react to what Su Qingni meant for a while. She continued, I have also mastered the time and space cultivation spells in the Huninju, and I have a deep understanding of time and space. I'm not afraid that Your Majesty will laugh at me for being arrogant. I feel that in terms of my understanding of time and space, I'm afraid that only Patriarch Niangniang can compare with me. Even Your Majesty can't compare with me now. Empress Pingxin was shocked when she heard this. I didn't expect that you have such extraordinary talent and you have mastered the Huninju. When I first realized the Huninju, I thought no one could practice it. Su Qingni pursed her lips and smiled, saying, In this case, Empress, you can rest assured that I can go to other worlds, right? Empress Pingxin still shook her head. It's too dangerous, and it consumes too much energy to travel through time and space once. You can travel through it, but if that world is like the Earth without spiritual energy, how can you recover your strength and travel back? Su Qingni said, I have an idea. Empress, can you give me an object from the nether world? When I go to that world, I will contact you with the power of reincarnation, so that the nether world can be projected into that world. In this way, I can return through the nether world. Empress Pingxin's eyes lit up. This is a good idea. Not only can it allow Su Qingni to return, but it can also allow the netherworld to control more worlds. Moreover, as long as the netherworld was projected to the world that Su Qingni traveled to, she could also go to that world from the netherworld and personally look for the fragments of her brother's true spirits. No, it's too dangerous. Although she wanted to save her brothers, Empress Pingxin understood the dangers of the space-time channel, and she couldn't selfishly push Su Qingni to take risks. Empress, if you don't trust me, please help me refine some more protective magic weapons. Su Qingni said, I have made up my mind to go to other worlds. If you don't agree, it will be more dangerous for me to go privately. Empress Pingxin sighed, You are a good child, so you should practice for a while longer and learn more about the laws of space and time. During this period, I will help you refine some protective magic weapons. After thousands of years, Su Qingni's understanding and control of the laws of space and time have become stronger, and Empress Pingxin has also refined 3 protective magic weapons that are comparable to innate spiritual treasures. One is a robe, one is a Qiankan umbrella, and the other is a mustard seed space refined by Empress Pingxin using the fragments of the prehistoric world she collected. The space was of a very high level and filled with spiritual energy. Even if Su Qingni traveled to a world without spiritual energy, she could still use the spiritual energy in the mustard seed space to replenish her strength. Empress Pingxin handed the magic weapon to Su Qingni and told her, Some worlds are too low level. If our real bodies enter, these worlds will collapse. Even if our entire souls enter, these worlds will collapse. Therefore, we can only separate a wisp of spiritual consciousness to enter. At that time, you will place your body and soul in this portable space. Empress Pingxin gave a lot of instructions, and Su Qingni wrote them down one by one. Niangniang Pingxin took out another storage bag and handed it to Su Qingni. Inside this are the netherworld's unique yin stones. I have engraved the coordinates of the netherworld on each stone, and also engraved a magic array that automatically generates the power of reincarnation. When you arrive in those worlds, you don't have to waste your energy to transmit the power of reincarnation to these yin stones. You only need to place the yin stones in the place with the thickest yin energy in that world, and the yin stones will absorb the power of reincarnation. It only takes 10 years for the yin stones to be filled with the power of reincarnation, and I will be able to contact that world through its position. Su Qingni took the storage bag. Niangniang Pingxin thought so carefully, she could save a lot of effort. Chapter 13, Marriage Destroyed by the Tasker. Su Qingni returned to the new world from the netherworld. 100 years ago, she gave up the position of leader to Qi Yu. Qi Yu did a good job and lived up to her trust and expectations. Su Qingni walked around the territory of the Wu clan. After living here for so many years, this place has become her home. She was leaving home and didn't know how long it would take to come back. Su Qingni was reluctant to leave. She chatted with the children of the Wu clan for a while. Seeing that the children were called by King Mu to practice, she smiled and waved to King Mu, turned around and walked out of the territory. Su Qingni came to the center of the new world, where the Donghuang bell, which suppressed the destiny of the entire world, was placed. The Wu clan and the Demon clan used the Donghuang bell as a boundary, and lived on the left and right sides of the Donghuang bell respectively. Su Qingni walked to the huge Donghuang bell, stretched out her hand and pressed it on the wall of the bell, feeling the vast energy coming from the Donghuang bell. Su Qingni sighed and said softly, Emperor Jun and the dead demon generals have all been reincarnated. The 11 witch ancestors can also be reincarnated as long as they find enough true spirits. Only your soul is scattered and you cannot enter the reincarnation to be resurrected. You are the one who sacrificed the most among all people. Why did you choose such a tragic method as your soul self-destructing? It's a pity that I will never see you again. You don't know that, in fact, your appearance and temperament are exactly what I like. If I hadn't known your identity, I would have fallen in love with you at first sight. But later, I created a new world with you, and I appreciated you more and more when I was together day by day. Maybe, I really fell in love with you. It's just that our fate is shallow. Su Qingni was immersed in her own feelings and did not notice a faint fluctuation flashing in the Donghuang bell. After recalling the old friends and mourning her first love, Su Qingni left the new world. She didn't know that after she left, the Donghuang bell emitted a strong fluctuation. The next moment, Bai Zan, who felt the fluctuation, appeared in front of the Donghuang bell and asked excitedly, Your Majesty, is that you? Su Qingni went to Earth. At this time, Earth had entered the 21st century, the same time as before she traveled through the prehistoric world. But perhaps it was the butterfly effect, and there was neither Su Qingni nor Luo Cheng and Lan Xiaoyao on Earth today. Su Qingni was afraid that the two of them had disappeared, so she went to ask Empress Pingxin. Empress Pingxin used the power of reincarnation to calculate and told Su Qingni that the two of them had their own opportunities. They did not disappear, but they also escaped from their original fate after entering their own opportunities. You will have a chance to meet again in the future. Empress Pingxin said this before she traveled through time, and Empress Pingxin said the same thing now. Su Qingni's hope in her heart became even greater, and she looked forward to the day when she would meet her good sister again. But the current thing was to find the true spirits of the 11 ancestor witches. Empress, I'm leaving now. Be careful on the way. Su Qingni looked at Qin Shuhui's pain and felt very sad. She tried every way to comfort Qin Shuhui, but Qin Shuhui wouldn't even let her into the room. Qin Shuhui had locked himself in the room for half a month, and no one could let him out of the room. If it weren't for the fact that Qin Shuhui could barely eat the food they sent over, they would be even more worried. Su Qingni knew that Qin Shuhui would eat because of Pei Yanling. Before she died, Pei Yanling asked Qin Shuhui to live well. Qin Shuhui supported Pei Yanling so much that he would naturally not disobey. Even if he didn't want to eat, he would force himself to eat in order to maintain his life. Why? The three of them grew up together. Why did Qin Shuhui only have Pei Yanling in his eyes? She admitted that Pei Yanling was very good, but she was not much worse. Su Qingni suddenly raised her hand and slapped herself. Why was she thinking about this? Pei Yanling was dead now, and Qin Shuhui was so sad that he didn't want to be autistic. How could she have the leisure to think about things between men and women? The most important thing now was to let Qin Shuhui get over Pei Yanling's death and stop being so sad and autistic. But even though she thought so, Su Qingni had no choice but to wait at the door of Qin Shuhui's room, waiting for him to come out. Qingni, it's getting late, you should go home and rest. Mother Qin said to Su Qingni. She sighed in her heart. Qingni is also a good girl, but it's a pity that her son doesn't like her. Alice, Yanling is also an excellent girl, and she is a perfect match for her son. Who would have thought that she would die so young? Oh, then, I'll come again tomorrow. Su Qingni left the Qin family. Her home was not far from the Qin family, in another building in the same community. She returned to her home in less than 5 minutes. Mother, she complained when she saw her daughter. What are you doing in the Qin family all day long? Qin Shuhui doesn't even have you in his eyes, he only thinks about Pei Yanling, and you still stay at his house. Don't you think you are a cheapskin? Mom, why do you say that about your own daughter? Su Qingni was ashamed and annoyed. Mother, she snorted, what's wrong with you? Who told you to do something that brings shame to our Shi family? Pei Yanling has been dead for less than a month, and you ran to the Qin family to care for her fiancé. You don't even listen to what people in the community say about you. Those gossipers are talking nonsense. Su Qingni was so angry that her face turned red. Shu Wei and Yanling are good friends. Yanling is dead, and I care about Shu Wei out of friendship. You are just lying to yourself. Mother, she snorted, forget it, I don't care about you. Shu Wei is indeed a good kid, and it's not bad for you to be with him. But I remind you that even if you marry Qin Shu Wei in the future, you will live under the shadow of Pei Yanling for the rest of your life. Su Qingni wanted to say something tough, but she didn't say it in the end. She simply went back to her room and slammed the door. Mother, she shook her head outside the door. Su Qingni threw her body on the bed, tears streaming down her face. How could she not know how much her mother's words made sense? But she had given her feelings for so many years, and she could no longer take them back. Even if she had to live under Pei Yanling's shadow for the rest of her life, even if Qin Shuhui never accepted her for the rest of her life, she didn't want to take back this feeling. Who can help me? Who can help Shuhui? Su Qingni whispered, God, if only Shuhui could lose his memory and forget Yanling. In this way, Shuhui would no longer suffer. Suddenly, a voice came into her ears, do you really want Qin Shuhui to forget Pei Yanling? Who? Su Qingni was startled, and suddenly sat up from the bed, turned around and looked around, wanting to see who was speaking. However, there was no one else in the room except her. Chapter 14, Marriage Destroyed by the Tasker Part 2. Su Qingni was helpless. The small world was too fragile. Not only could it not accommodate her real body and her entire soul, but even if she separated a very small strand of her soul, it would be rejected by the small world. She could only let the strand of her soul attach to the natives of the small world, using the identity of the natives to cover up her aura as an outsider and reduce the rejection of the world's rules to herself. Su Qingni originally wanted to find a dead body to accommodate her soul, but she didn't find one, because to accommodate her soul, the body must be somewhat compatible with her soul. Su Qingni looked around, but didn't find a corpse that could accommodate her soul. She only found the body of a living person. This living person was Su Qingni. Su Qingni couldn't drive away Su Qingni's soul just to get a body. Killing her would involve karma. She is not a saint, and she can't avoid karma. Su Qingni could only let her soul attach to Su Qingni's body. Not only did she not harm Su Qingni's soul, but when Su Qingni encountered any difficulties, she would help solve them, which was considered as a reward to Su Qingni, thus ending this cause and effect. Who are you? Su Qingni was scared when she saw that there was no one in the room. Although she grew up under the red flag and believed in materialism and atheism, the current situation was too weird. Thinking of the horror movies she had watched before, Su Qingni shuddered. Don't worry, I'm not a ghost. A trace of Su Qingni's soul was in Su Qingni's mind. She knew exactly what Su Qingni was thinking. She comforted Su Qingni, it's the 21st century now, and there are no ghosts. No way. Su Qingni felt that it was right, and she breathed a sigh of relief and asked, who are you? Did you install monitoring equipment and sound transmission equipment in my room? The more she talked, the more she felt that this was the case. She became bolder and jumped out of bed. She searched her room for monitoring equipment, but she didn't find any. She thought she was not a professional, so she called the police. It's no use calling the police. Su Qingni said, I'm not what you think, and of course I'm not a ghost. Then what are you? Su Qingni asked. What is she? Su Qingni thought about it and made up an identity for herself that modern young people could accept. I am a system. System. Su Qingni asked in confusion, what system? Wind system or ghost system? Su Qingni, I am not one of those low-level broken systems that don't even have artificial intelligence. I am the most advanced system in the interstellar space, which can help people solve problems and reach the peak of life. Interstellar. Su Qingni exclaimed, are you from an alien planet? Su Qingni, you should say that I am from an alien galaxy. There is no such intelligent and advanced system as mine in your Milky Way. From an alien galaxy. Su Qingni took a breath, are there really aliens outside the Milky Way? It's a pity that the technology developed by our country can only manufacture manned spacecraft flying within the solar system, and it can't fly out of the solar system, let alone the Milky Way. The technology in this world is quite powerful. Obviously, the life of human beings in this world is similar to that on Earth. Smartphones have only been developed for 10 years, and computers still use the Win 10 system. How can aerospace technology be so powerful? Su Qingni used her divine sense to invade the network of this world to find information and found that the reason why the aerospace technology in this world is so powerful is because of a person, a woman named Pei Yanling. Pei Yanling is a genius. She went to primary school at the age of 5, junior high school at the age of 7, high school at the age of 9, and took the college entrance examination at the age of 11. She won the provincial champion in science and entered the best aerospace university in the country. It took only 4 years to complete her undergraduate, master's and doctoral studies. She entered the National Academy of Space Science and led a team to conduct research alone. She developed a short-range, from the Earth to the Moon, manned spacecraft, developed a mining machine on the Moon, and later developed a manned spacecraft that can fly throughout the solar system, allowing astronauts from the Flower Country to plant 5-star flags on Mars, Mercury, Saturn, Venus, Jupiter, and even Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. It can be said that Pei Yanling alone promoted the development of aerospace technology in the world and made aerospace technology progress for at least 100 years. Therefore, Pei Yanling is known as the greatest scientist of this century. She has won the Nobel Prize and many important generals in the world. She is the youngest academician in the Flower Country. However, this genius is like a meteor, with a brilliant but short life. Just a month ago, this scientist followed a manned spacecraft to Pluto for a field exploration, but accidentally contracted a cosmic virus and died before returning to Earth. The whole world mourned this great scientist, and even the United Nations was halfway through. And this Pei Yanling is also a good friend of Su Qingni in front of him. Su Qingni is 2 years older than Pei Yanling. Pei Yanling and another man, Qin Shuhui, are good friends who grew up together. The three families live in the same community, and they are of similar age. They played together when they were young and went to school together. Although Su Qingni and Qin Shuhui are not as evil as Pei Yanling, they are also smart children. In order to catch up with the progress of their friends and be able to stay with them all the time, Su Qingni and Qin Shuhui worked hard, skipped grades with Pei Yanling, and took the college entrance examination together. It was only when they arrived at university that they chose different majors because of their different abilities and personalities. Qin Shuhui was admitted to a military academy and became an astronaut. Su Qingni studied medicine and is now a well-known surgeon. So, if you have any troubles, you can tell me and I can help you. Su Qingni said. Su Qingni didn't believe it. How can a system like you help me? Su Qingni said, I am an advanced system. I can help you in many ways. Even in terms of emotions, I can also give you reference. After reading the information, Su Qingni felt that Su Qingni and Qin Shuhui and Pei Yanling were more than just friends. One man and two women, it was a love triangle. Combined with what Su Qingni said before, it seemed that Qin Shuhui and Pei Yanling were in a relationship, and Su Qingni had a crush on Qin Shuhui. Now that Pei Yanling is dead, Su Qingni feels that she has a chance, but Qin Shuhui is only sad about the death of his lover and did not accept Su Qingni's concern. Su Qingni was distressed. No matter how advanced a system you are not a human. How can you understand human emotions? And you are still giving me references? Are you kidding? Su Qingni didn't believe what Su Qingni said. Su Qingni pretended to be angry and said, don't look at the products of our advanced civilization with the eyes of your low-level civilization. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15, Marriage Destroyed by the Tasker Part 3. Don't look at the product of our advanced civilization with the eyes of your low-level civilization. Su Qingni. Is advanced civilization so great? Well, I do have troubles now. How can you help me? Su Qingni didn't want to argue with the system, and she didn't want to listen to the system continue to despise her. She just listened to how the system would help her and see its capabilities. Su Qingni said, don't you want Qin Shuhui to forget Pei Yanling? I can help you do it. Really? Su Qingni's eyes lit up. Of course, it's very easy to make a person lose his memory. It's not about losing his memory, it's that as long as Shuhui forgets Pei Yanling, all other memories must be retained. Can you do it? Of course I can. It's just what? As far as I know, Qin Shuhui is a smart man. He lost the memory of a person for no reason, and this person occupied more than half of his life. Forgetting that person is equivalent to forgetting more than half of his past. Would Qin Shuhui notice it? Besides, he forgot, but the people around him didn't forget Pei Yanling. Would Qin Shuhui ask other people for information about Pei Yanling? Then wouldn't he know Pei Yanling in the end? But he won't have feelings for Pei Yanling anymore, right? And he won't be as painful as he is now. I hope he is happy, and I don't want to see him so sad and decadent now. Seeing him like this, my heart hurts. You're right. Without Pei Yanling's memory, Qin Shuhui won't be in pain, but he may not necessarily accept your feelings, and his happiness may not be with you. Maybe you are making wedding clothes for other women. After all, you and Qin Shuhui have been friends for decades. If he likes you, he would have accepted your feelings long ago. That's because Pei Yanling is here. Su Qingni screamed, if there was no Pei Yanling at the beginning. Su Qingni's voice became smaller and she was depressed. There was no beginning. This girl is quite pitiful. She has been suppressed by another girl. The person she likes another girl. She is not perverted, which is pretty good. Su Qingni has been in contact with this girl for so long and found that although Su Qingni has some small thoughts, she is still kind. Although she is jealous of Pei Yanling, she never does anything to frame Pei Yanling, does not do bad things secretly, and never speaks ill of Pei Yanling behind her back. She chooses to work hard to improve herself, strive to catch up with Pei Yanling, and compete with Pei Yanling openly. Su Qingni is a bit like Liu Shimei in My Love from the Star. The relationship between her, Pei Yanling, and Qin Shuhui is a bit like the relationship between Liu Shimei, Qian Songhai, and Li Hujing. The difference is that Li Hujing likes Qian Songhai, but Qian Songhai doesn't like Li Hujing, while Pei Yanling and Qin Shuhui are lovers. Su Qingni's tone was a little tearful, and she whispered, "System, help Shuhui erase Pei Yanling's memory. I just hope he won't suffer anymore. Even if he doesn't choose me in the future, I won't complain. You are such a lovesick person." Su Qingni sighed. Su Qingni smiled bitterly, "I can't help it. Who told me to love him? Do you want to hear what happened between Shuhui and Yanling?" Su Qingni suddenly wanted to confide. The main reason is that the system is not a person, it will not reveal its thoughts. Su Qingni, just say whatever you want to say. Su Qingni, Shuhui and I knew each other first. Our two families lived close to each other, and our parents knew each other. We knew each other when we were still babies, although we didn't know anything at that time. When Pei Yanling was 4 years old, her family moved to the community. At that time, Shuhui and I were already very good friends. Pei Yanling inserted herself between us, and the two of us became a threesome, and the threesome later became a two-person group with a light bulb. Pei Yanling is indeed very good, so good that she seems to be able to glow, attracting everyone's attention. Shuhui's eyes were always on her, and he never looked at me again. I tried my best to catch up with Pei Yanling, just hoping that Shuhui could look at me. Who knows? As Su Qingni spoke, the memories of Pei Yanling and Qin Shuhui in her mind appeared in front of Su Qingni. Su Qingni scanned these memory scenes, very fresh scenes of a threesome in love, but why did she feel a little bit out of place? Su Qingni carefully scanned Su Qingni's memory from beginning to end again, and finally found the discord. The discord came from Pei Yanling, who often talked to herself in the air. Su Qingni and Qin Shuhui didn't pay much attention, but Su Qingni felt strange. Su Qingni's consciousness explored the time and space river of this world. With her mastery of the Hununju and the laws of time and space, her consciousness can cruise back and forth in the timeline of this small world, looking forward to the history of this world for 500 years, and looking back to the flow of 100 years. Su Qingni saw Pei Yanling, who had just been born, Pei Yanling who was 4 years old, Pei Yanling who was in elementary school, junior high school, and high school, Pei Yanling who became the top scorer in the college entrance examination, Pei Yanling who was engaged in aerospace research after entering university, and Pei Yanling who was dying. Haha. Su Qingni laughed. There was more than one outsider in this world. It turned out that Pei Yanling was not an aboriginal either. She also came through, and she came through with a system and a mission. Through the rules of this world, Su Qingni learned that according to the original destiny, Su Qingni and Qin Shuhui were a pair of childhood sweethearts. Both of them were very successful in their careers and lives, which made people envious. The native Pei Yanling was Qin Shuhui's admirer. She met Qin Shuhui in high school and then fell in love with Qin Shuhui. But the native Pei Yanling was a poor student. Except for being a little good-looking, she was not worthy of Qin Shuhui in any way. Not to mention that Qin Shuhui already had a childhood sweetheart, Su Qingni. Even if he didn't have a girlfriend, he would not fall in love with a native Pei Yanling who had a bag of grass in his head. Qin Shuhui and Su Qingni were the top scorers and runners-up in the college entrance examination and went to the best universities, while the native Pei Yanling's grades were simply eye-catching, and it was inevitable that she didn't get into university. The native Pei Yanling couldn't find a good job after graduating from high school. She made a living on her youth for the first few years, and later she could only do some low-paying jobs. Later, she got married and had children, and her husband was just one of the mediocre people. She lived a mediocre life. In her later years, the native Pei Yanling saw the successful Qin Shuhui and Su Qingni on TV, and felt very unwilling. Then her unwillingness was received by the system of the extras turnaround and counterattack. Chapter 16, Marriage Destroyed by the Tasker 4. The native Pei Yanling reached a contract with a dragon set cannon fodder counterattack system, asking the tasker to help her counterattack and achieve her wish. The native Pei Yanling's wish is to be better than Qin Shuhui and Su Qingni, to have higher career achievements than both of them, and to be more respected. As for the direction of her feelings, the native Pei Yanling is not too persistent. After all, the person who lives another life is not her own. If Qin Shuhui likes Pei Yanling, does he like her as a whole person or the tasker? Therefore, the native Pei Yanling only regards gaining Qin Shuhui's love as an optional task, and the tasker also took this task in order to get more points. Then, the fate of this world changed drastically because of the arrival of the tasker. The tasker has knowledge of many worlds in his mind, among which the knowledge of the interstellar world is many times more advanced than the knowledge of this world. The tasker only took some knowledge eliminated by the star world to this world, which promoted the development of science and technology in this world by nearly 100 years. The tasker has high emotional intelligence and IQ, and completes the task quickly and well. Not only did he gain Qin Shuhui's true love, but he also gained great achievements and prestige. After completing the task, he can leave this world. Although the tasker also likes Qin Shuhui, after all, only sincerity can be exchanged for sincerity, and the tasker knows it better than anyone else. However, her love for Qin Shuhui is not deep enough to make the tasker stay for him. After the task is completed, she decisively chooses to leave, without caring about what will happen to Qin Shuhui after she leaves. With her intelligence, she can definitely predict what will happen to Qin Shuhui. Qin Shuhui loves her so much, and she is gone. Qin Shuhui is very sad. This is not how life should be. It is possible that he will never accept any woman again, and will live in the longing for the tasker for the rest of his life, lonely for the rest of his life. Su Qingni swam to the bottom of the river of time to take a look. Sure enough, Qin Shuhui was really single for his whole life, and finally died with the tasker's photo in his arms. He couldn't be more infatuated. These taskers. Su Qingni couldn't help but shake her head. She has read some novels about fast travel systems to complete tasks. The protagonists in some of these novels, especially the protagonists in the strategy system, really made her dislike them. These protagonists try to gain the sincerity of the natives in order to complete their tasks, but when they complete the tasks, they abandon their sincerity and leave without a care. The natives who do not know the truth are sad and miserable for their whole lives. The tasker in this world is quite similar to the protagonist in the novel. Although she has more moral integrity than those protagonists who cheat with strategies, it cannot change the fact that she hurts others for herself. Poor Qin Shuhui, his original destiny was to have a loving wife, filial sons and daughters, a successful career and a happy family, and a winner in life. But now he has become an abandoned husband. Sympathize with him. I think there is no need to let Qin Shuhui lose his memory, as long as he knows the truth. Su Qingni suddenly interrupted Su Qingni's memories. This girl has a very good memory. She keeps everything about Qin Shuhui in mind. Even if it is just a small thing, she has not forgotten it and tells it to Su Qingni to share. It's quite nagging. The truth? What truth? Su Qingni asked puzzledly. Pei Yanling also has a system. Su Qingni said. What? Su Qingni cried out in surprise. Su Qingni said, Pei Yanling was traveled through time. Well, you know what travel through time means, right? Su Qingni, I know. Although I seldom read novels, I heard from the nurses in the hospital that they all like to read this kind of novels and often discuss the plots of novels during breaks. Su Qingni, What about the setting of the novel with the tasker? Su Qingni. She didn't know about that. Su Qingni then explained it to her, and by the way, told Su Qingni about her original fate in the tasker. Su Qingni's face was very ugly. It turned out that Qin Shuhui should have been her husband, but because of the unwillingness of the native Pei Yanling, not only did the tasker rob her husband, but also made Qin Shuhui suffer for his whole life. If either the native Pei Yanling or the tasker appeared in front of Su Qingni, she would definitely rush over and beat him up. For the selfishness of one person, she ruined the lives of two people. Su Qingni took a deep breath and asked Su Qingni, how can we let Shuhui know the truth? If we tell him directly, he won't believe it. Su Qingni, I have a way. Su Qingni, what way? Su Qingni, let Qin Shuhui dream and let him see the truth in his dream. Su Qingni, Shuhui won't believe it, right? Who would believe things in a dream? Su Qingni was very confident. Of course he won't believe it if he dreams once, but what if he dreams every day? Do it for a month or two in a row. If he doesn't believe it, let him continue to dream until he believes it. Besides, the tasker has shown flaws in the years of growing up with you, but you just didn't think about it. In the dream, I can magnify the picture showing the flaws. With Qin Shuhui's intelligence, he will find it sooner or later. After hearing this, Su Qingni also gained some confidence in her system. Let Shuhui dream quickly. What's the hurry? Su Qingni said, it's only 10:30 in the evening. I'm afraid Qin Shuhui hasn't gone to bed yet. I'll go find him when it's 12 o'clock. Su Qingni was anxious and worried, but she didn't urge Su Qingni anymore, and walked around in the room alone. Su Qingni felt dizzy and simply cast a spell to make Su Qingni fall into deep sleep. The next moment, Su Qingni opened her eyes, and Su Qingni was indeed in control of Su Qingni's body. She checked the time on her phone and saw that it was still early, so she opened Su Qingni's computer, downloaded an online game, registered an account, and started playing the game. Speaking of which, the tasker has so much advanced scientific and technological knowledge in his mind. Why does he only focus on aerospace? Why not improve online games and create holographic games? Even if he can't create a holographic online game world halfway like in the novel, VR technology will do. Keyboard games are not very satisfying. Although she was complaining in her heart, Su Qingni was still very happy playing games. She hadn't played online games for a long time, since she traveled through time. Although she had been to the 21st century on Earth before, she just wandered around there and had no intention of playing games. When playing games, time passed quickly. In a blink of an eye, it was past 12 o'clock, the community became quiet, and Shi's parents had fallen asleep. Su Qingni opened the door. Chapter 17, Marriage Destroyed by the Tasker 5. Su Qingni came to Qin's house without disturbing anyone and entered Qin's bedroom. Unexpectedly, Qin Shuhui was not asleep. He was holding Pei Yanling's photo in a daze and didn't notice that there was another person in the room. Su Qingni waved her right hand, and Qin Shuhui closed his eyes and fell asleep. In his dream, scenes with Pei Yanling appeared in front of him one after another. He saw many details that he had not noticed before. He saw that Pei Yanling was always talking in a low voice. He thought Pei Yanling was talking to herself, but the sound came into his ears, but it was Pei Yanling talking to an invisible existence. He even heard the sound of that conversation. The host's mission completion rate is 30%. Please keep up the good work. System, I'm the top scorer in the college entrance examination. Why is the completion rate only 30%? Because not many people know that the host is excellent. If the host wants to complete the mission 100%, everyone in the world must know that the host is excellent. Then if I become a celebrity, can I complete the mission? No, host, you have to make contributions to mankind to be considered excellent. Celebrities entertain the public, which is also a contribution to everyone. No, the client will not agree. Qin Shuhui and Su Qingni are the first astronauts from the flower country to land on Mars, and Su Qingni is an internationally renowned surgical expert. They have made a lot of contributions to mankind. You have to follow their standards. What a trouble. Since Qin Shuhui is an astronaut, I'll be a scientist in the aerospace field. I'll make the spacecraft and Qin Shuhui will take it. We can be considered husband and wife, right? Host, let me remind you that you will leave this world after completing your mission, and you cannot grow old with Qin Shuhui. I know. I don't want to grow old with someone in this world. I just want to have a wonderful love affair. After all, Qin Shuhui is so handsome, he is exactly my type. Qin Shuhui frowned slightly. Who is Yanling talking to? These words made him feel very uncomfortable. Did Yanling ever think about marrying me? Fake, all fake, these are just my dreams, not real. Qin Shuhui comforted himself like this, and the scene in front of him continued. He and Pei Yanling both went to college. Because they were not on the same school, the two had few opportunities to meet, and what he saw in the dream this time was completely unknown to him. Pei Yanling in the dream seemed to have the legendary mustard seed space, which could create things out of thin air and also make things disappear. Seeing Pei Yanling like this, Qin Shuhui felt that Pei Yanling seemed to be very far away from him, as if she would leave at any time. His premonition came true. In the dream, the scene finally came to the time when he, Pei Yanling and a group of companions went to Pluto for an investigation. He heard the conversation between Pei Yanling and the so-called system again. Host, the mission is 100% complete. When will you leave this world? System, can't you give me some grace? Yes, I can give you up to 3 months. The host can use these 3 months to say goodbye to friends and relatives in this world. I really can't bear to leave Shuhui. The men I met before were not as smart and excellent as him, and the men who were better and smarter than him were not as good looking as him. It would be great if I could take him away. Host, please don't dream. System, can't you let me fantasize a little? Yes, you can fantasize. Forget it. In a month, the country will send people to Pluto for exploration and investigation. I will apply to participate in this plan and use this opportunity to leave this world. Otherwise, it is too abnormal to die suddenly of a sudden illness. Accidents and the like are difficult to happen with the protection around me. Qin Shuhui was a little stunned. From the meaning of this sentence, Yanling did not die, but took the opportunity of death to leave this world? How is this possible? No matter it is possible or not, in the dream, the moment Qin Shuhui saw Pei Yanling die, the soul of a woman who looked completely different from Pei Yanling flew out of Pei Yanling's body and was quickly led away by a beam of light. Qin Shuhui looked stupidly in the direction where the woman disappeared, without any reaction for a long time. The morning sun shone through the window onto Qin Shuhui's face, his eyelids moved, opened, revealing a pair of misty eyes. Qin Shuhui looked at the ceiling, his head was confused. He fell asleep? Exclamation mark. Yes, he fell asleep, and even had a dream. This was the most peaceful sleep he had had in more than a month. He slept until dawn, and did not wake up during the period. He began to recall the situation in the dream, although there were many unreasonable things in the dream, and even some scenes that slandered Yanling. How could he slander Yanling? Was it formed because of his resentment towards Yanling in his heart? Resentment that Yanling abandoned him, but he still felt that this was a beautiful dream, in which he could see Yanling again. The result of the dream on the first day was that Qin Shuhui lay in bed and couldn't get up. He wanted to fall asleep again and see his beloved woman in his dream again. He didn't doubt Pei Yanling at all. Su Qingni also realized his wish. As long as he fell asleep, whether it was day or night, he would dream of Pei Yanling. The process and pictures in the dream were all the same, without any change. After a long time, Qin Shuhui also realized that something was wrong. It is normal to dream about Pei Yanling. After all, you dream about it at night. He misses Pei Yanling every day, so he will naturally dream about Pei Yanling, but the dream building is exactly the same every day, even the details are exactly the same, which is completely abnormal. This dream doesn't seem to be his own thinking, but it seems that someone or something tells him the truth through dreams. Yes, the truth. Even if he doesn't want to admit it, he has to admit that everything in the dream is actually telling him the truth. Pei Yanling is not Pei Yanling, but an outsider who has accepted a mission. Her mission is to surpass herself and Su Qingni to become a better person than them and more recognized and respected by the public. She also has a mission to gain his love and let himself fall in love with her. So, do you think love is just a calculation? The grief in Qin Shuhui's heart disappeared a lot, but was replaced by bitterness. Yanling, am I just a mission target in your heart? After completing the mission, you will leave without a care, and don't care about the relationship between us at all? Don't care what will happen to me after losing you? Just when Qin Shuhui admitted that everything in the dream was the truth and recognized Pei Yanling's true identity, his dream changed. This time, the dream did not revolve around Pei Yanling, but around himself and Su Qingni. Chapter 18, Marriage Destroyed by the Tasker VI. This time, The dream showed him how he and Su Qingni grew up together as childhood sweethearts and naturally developed into lovers. After graduating from college, he married Su Qingni. They had a happy marriage, 2 lovely children, and a smooth career, achieving great success. In this dream, he and Su Qingni were both big winners in life. Where is Pei Yanling? Where is Pei Yanling? Qin Shuhui thought about Pei Yanling, and the picture in front of him turned, and Pei Yanling appeared in front of him. But although Pei Yanling in the dream looked exactly the same as the Pei Yanling he was familiar with, her temperament was completely different. He was sure that this Pei Yanling was definitely not the Pei Yanling he liked. The picture continued, and he knew that Pei Yanling in the dream was his high school classmate, and her academic performance was very poor. Sure enough, they were not the same person. His Pei Yanling was the first in the school every time he took an exam. Pei Yanling in the dream liked him and confessed to him in the dream, but he didn't like poor students in the dream and directly rejected him. After that, the two had no intersection. Then the picture fast-forwarded, and in the blink of an eye, Pei Yanling in the picture turned into an old woman in her 50s or 60s, sitting in front of the TV and watching Qin Shuhui and Su Qingni, who were being interviewed by reporters. I am not willing to accept this. Why are they so outstanding, but I can only be so ordinary? I really want to surpass them and become a better person than them. It would be best if Qin Shuhui could like me. Ding. The extras cannon fodder counterattack system is at your service. Qin Shuhui saw Pei Yanling negotiate with an invisible existence and put forward her wish. The so-called system received Pei Yanling's wish and sent a tasker to fulfill Pei Yanling's wish. The last picture was a woman's soul being put into the body of Pei Yanling, a child of only 4 or 5 years old. The woman's appearance was exactly the same as the appearance of the soul that Qin Shuhui saw coming out of Pei Yanling's body in his previous dream. Qin Shuhui was very smart. Seeing this dream that was different from the previous one, he had guessed the truth by 80%. After the dream ended, a line of words appeared in front of him. This is your original destiny. Sure enough, because of the intervention of the tasker Pei Yanling, his fate was changed. Thinking of his love for the tasker Pei Yanling, Qin Shu was sad and angry. The tasker just treated him as an NPC. Even if she liked him, she would not give her true heart. It's just that his true heart has been given, and it is very difficult to take it back. Although he knew that the tasker was deceiving him, Qin Shuhui did not regret that he liked her. After all, who would not like such an excellent person? He was just sad that he didn't get the corresponding return. Qin Shuhui opened his eyes and woke up from his sleep. Although there was still sadness in his eyes, there was no confusion and pain. The tasker was gone, and he should live his own life. Why should he be heartbroken for a person who deceived him and spent his whole life just for a woman who didn't love him? After thinking it over, Qin Shuhui cheered up. He got up from the bed and walked into the bathroom. Seeing his unshaven beard in the mirror, Qin Shuhui smiled sarcastically, took out a razor and started shaving. When Qin Shuhui appeared in front of Qin's parents with a clean face, they were both shocked. Has your son come out of the pain? Qin's mother burst into tears instantly. Qin Shuhui felt bad, thinking that he was really unfilial and had made his parents worry about him these days. Mom, don't cry. Qin Shuhui stepped forward and hugged Qin's mother's shoulders. I will never be so decadent again. Okay, okay. Qin's father and mother said okay again and again. At this time, the doorbell rang. Mother Qin said, it's Qin Ya who is here. She comes here every day at this time. Mother Qin glanced at her son. If her son was still the same as before, there were some things she wouldn't say, but her son had regained his spirits and was no longer desperate for Pei Yanling, so Mother Qin said, Qin Ya is really worried about you. She comes to see you every day and takes care of both of us. She is such a good girl. You must remember this, love. A trace of guilt flashed across Qin Shuhui's face. According to the original fate, Su Qingni was originally his wife. Now that fate has changed, Su Qingni still hasn't changed her love for him, but he has fallen in love with someone else. He is a little embarrassed to be with Su Qingni. Father Qin has already opened the door, and Su Qingni walked in, greeting Father Qin and Mother Qin as usual. Her eyes fell on Qin Shuhui, who was dressed in a fresh outfit, and a look of surprise appeared on her face. This morning, the system told her that Qin Shuhui had understood all the truth, and she was still a little worried that Qin Shuhui would not be able to accept the facts and would be even more sad. Su Qingni's heart was in a state of anxiety all the way here, but seeing Qin Shuhui's current state, she finally felt relieved. Great. Qin Shuhui finally cheered up. Su Qingni was happy for Qin Shuhui. She hoped that Qin Shuhui would be fine, even if he would not choose her in the future, but this possibility was too low. Su Qingni was confident that other women, except for the tasker Pei Yanling, were not as good as herself, nor did they love Qin Shuhui as much as she did. If Qin Shuhui did not choose her, she would never give up. She did not believe that Qin Shuhui was so cold-hearted and would not accept her. Su Qingni was ready for a protracted war. Anyway, now that Pei Yanling was gone, there was no biggest obstacle. Qingni. Seeing Su Qingni's eyes full of affection, Qin Shuhui felt even more guilty. The picture of Qin Shuhui and Su Qingni's loving couple in the second dream passed through his mind, and Qin Shuhui's heart softened, and his eyes became softer. Su Qingni met Qin Shuhui's eyes and was ecstatic. Shuhui, just cheer up. Then Uncle Qin and Aunt Li will be relieved. Su Qingni smiled gently. I am relieved too, and I can start working. For Qin Shuhui, Su Qingni asked for a month's leave from the hospital. I delayed you from doing your work. Qin Shuhui said guiltily, his voice was extremely gentle. It doesn't delay, we are good friends. Su Qingni said hurriedly. Yes, we are good friends. Qin Shuhui responded. After saying this, the two of them were speechless. Even if they had countless thoughts in their hearts, they couldn't say them at this time. Mother Qin looked at her son, then at Su Qingni, went into the kitchen, picked up a basket of vegetables, and pulled her husband out of the house, saying, going to buy vegetables. Old Qin, when do you think your son and Qingni will be able to become a couple? Chapter 19, Technology in the New World. Su Qingni stayed in Su Qingni's body for more than 10 years, and helped Su Qingni solve some problems during this period. However, because of Pei Yanling's matter, Su Qingni did not trust Su Qingni's system that suddenly appeared. Except for 1 or 2 times when she consulted Su Qingni for help with things she could not solve, she completely ignored Su Qingni at other times. Su Qingni was happy to be relaxed. She only used Su Qingni's body to go out and find the place with the strongest yin energy in the world when Su Qingni fell asleep at night. Fortunately, she was lucky. She found the place before Su Qingni got married and buried the Mingyan stone there. After Su Qingni got married, she stopped using Su Qingni's body to avoid Su Qingni's husband finding out and worrying. Su Qingni's husband was naturally Qin Shuhui. After letting go of Pei Yanling, Qin Shuhui was influenced by the second dream, and it was not easy for him to accept Su Qingni. The two naturally became lovers. Qin Shuhui felt true love from Su Qingni, and it was easier to let go of Pei Yanling's insincere feelings. Fate finally returned to normal. After Qin Shuhui and Su Qingni got married, they had a son and a daughter, who looked exactly like the children in his dreams. The two lived happily, their careers got better and better, and they grew old together, living to be over 90 years old. Due to the restrictions of the world's rules, Su Qingni could not leave Su Qingni to find the true spirits of the 11 ancestor witches, but the years she possessed Su Qingni were not wasted in vain. Su Qingni studied medicine and was a very good surgeon, so she followed Su Qingni to learn her medical skills. After more than 10 years, Su Qingni's medical skills were no less than those of Su Qingni, the surgical master. 13 years later, the netherworld was finally connected to this world through the dark yin stone, and Su Qingni could finally leave Su Qingni and return to the netherworld. In the netherworld, Su Qingni was welcomed by Empress Pingxin with a smile. Welcome back. Su Qingni smiled and said, I am glad to have fulfilled my mission. However, due to the restrictions of the rules of this world, I cannot find the true spirits of the ancestors, so I have to ask you to find them yourself. Because the netherworld has expanded to this world, Empress Pingxin, the owner of the netherworld, will not be excluded by the rules of this world. She can walk freely in this world and find the true spirits of her brothers. Well, leave it to me next. You should have a good rest. Empress Pingxin said softly. Su Qingni talked to Empress Pingxin for a few more words and returned to her residence in the new world through the netherworld. She released her spiritual sense to look at the current situation of the Wu clan, but after more than 10 years, the current situation of the Wu clan has not changed much at all, and it is almost the same as before she left. However, the high-level officials of the demon clan are a little mysterious, but they did not target the Wu clan, so Su Qingni did not care about them. Su Qingni began to practice to replenish the mana lost in the time and space channel. After a journey through the space-time channel, Su Qingni gained a deeper understanding of the rules of space-time, and her cultivation of the Hununju was also greatly improved. Su Qingni's soul cultivation has already reached the level of a saint. She did not choose the method of beheading the 3 corpses. There was a voice in her heart telling her that even if she did not behead the 3 corpses and did not have the primordial purple key, she could still walk a different path from other saints, and maybe she could also achieve the status of a saint. This cultivation lasted for a year. After a year, Su Qingni came out of retreat and met Qiyu, who came to find her. "Your Majesty, I have something to ask you. Now you are the leader of the Wu clan. You can make your own decisions on anything the Wu clan wants to do. You don't need to ask me for instructions," Su Qingni said. Qiyu chuckled and said, Actually, I want to ask your excellency for help." Su Qingni. Qiyu said, Well, didn't your excellency once go to Earth and bring back an object called a computer? When your excellency was away, a few little bastards took out the computer and played with it. They opened it and we all saw the information stored in the computer. The tribesmen envied the life that humans on Earth have. Everyone is fascinated by computers and is interested in the internet and online games mentioned in computers. Therefore, after discussion, everyone decided to build our own network in the Wu clan's territory, and then everyone will have a computer, and everyone can go online to play games and communicate. Su Qingni was stunned. The power of the internet and computers is so strong? They actually made the Wu clan kneel down. Well, we can't go to Earth, and our understanding of the internet is limited to the information on that computer. Well, since you can go to Earth, can you bring back more information about the internet, and by the way, buy a few more computers? Qiyu asked hesitantly. Su Qingni raised her eyebrows. Bring more? Bring a few? There are hundreds of millions of people in our Wu tribe. I can't bring back hundreds of millions of computers at once, right? I want to stay, but I'm afraid that merchants on Earth don't have so much inventory to sell to us. Qiyu said, No need to buy so many, just buy a dozen or 100, and we can disassemble a few and make them ourselves. If there was not only one computer now, some craftsmen in the tribe would have disassembled the computer long ago. Su Qingni doubted whether her family members could make a computer according to the diagram. After all, the Wu people didn't understand the principles. Do you want to bring back some physics and computer books for the tribe members? Bring some chemistry and mathematics books, by the way. Thinking of how she almost broke her head every time she took the advanced math exam when she was in college, Su Qingni decided to bring back more advanced math and mathematics books. Okay, I got it. I'll go to Earth now. Coming to Earth again, Su Qingni turned over a series of shopping lists in her mind and decided to arrange an identity for herself first, and then open a bank account and a Taobao account. Arranging an identity is very simple. For a master who is about to upgrade, it is very simple to hack into the household registration database. In a short while, he got an identity for himself and made a brand new ID card. Then he went to the bank to open an account and get money. Getting money is even easier. Not to mention anything else, just go to Gamble on Stones and pull out a piece of imperial green jadeite, and the number on Su Qingni's account will become 8 digits. Then he bought a state-of-the-art smartphone, downloaded the Taobao app, registered an account, and started shopping. How could 100 computers be enough? He bought tens of thousands at a time. He also bought 10,000 smartphones that can access the internet. He bought 100,000 sets of textbooks for various subjects from elementary school to high school, 100,000 sets of university professional books, and even more books on the internet. Chapter 20 Ancient Dandy 1. Su Qingni returned to the New World with a lot of information and things, and handed the things to Qiyu. When Qiyu saw the pile of information, his expression cracked. Well, there are too many materials, right? What are these 5-year college entrance examination and 3-year simulation? What are 8-year postgraduate entrance examination and 3-year simulation? Your Excellency, we just want to learn some network knowledge. Why did you bring back so many irrelevant books and exercise books? Su Qingni, what's irrelevant? These are the basics. Without a foundation, you still want to learn advanced knowledge? Can you understand it? Qiyu, so troublesome? Su Qingni, don't worry, I will find someone to teach you. Su Qingni went to the netherworld to find some ghosts. These ghosts were experts in various fields when they were alive. Su Qingni hired them to teach the people of the Wu clan and impart knowledge to them, and by the way, help the Wu clan with technological construction. After knowing Su Qingni's actions, Lady Pingxin intercepted some experts and asked them to build a network in the netherworld, design and manufacture computers exclusively for the netherworld, so that the netherworld could also realize informatization, which greatly relieved the busyness of the netherworld employees and improved their work efficiency. After the people of the demon clan knew that the witch clan was learning modern technology, they also sent people to learn. Soon, the people of the two clans mastered modern scientific and technological knowledge and began to transform the new world. The people of the two clans would not be like the people on Earth who would dry up the pond to fish and cause great harm to the environment. They would adapt to local conditions and combine technology with magic to be environmentally friendly and efficient, and would not destroy the new world created by the two clans with great effort. When Su Qingni traveled through the world for the second time, the network in the new world had been fully built, and computers had been popularized in the hands of everyone in the two clans. However, the computers in this world can no longer be considered computers. The computers made by the two clans using the refining technique are considered low-level magic tools. Not only do they use electricity as energy, they can automatically absorb any energy, solar energy, wind energy, light energy, electrical energy, 5 elements energy. There is no need to worry about energy shortages. Su Qingni couldn't help but smile when she saw the changes in the new world. She told Qiyu, although there are computers and excellent tools to kill time now, you can't be too addicted and relax your practice. Yes, Your Majesty. Qiyu quickly responded. Whether it was him, the high-level officials of the Wu clan or the high-level officials of the Yao clan, they all understood that the most important thing for the two clans was practice and strength, which must not be ignored. Su Qingni nodded and left the new world. I am the dividing line after crossing. Very good, this world has a body that can be controlled at will, although it is still only a little bit of the soul that enters this world. But this little bit of the soul is already stronger than any soul in this world. Unlike in Su Qingni's world, Su Qingni completely occupied the current body and had to help the owner of this body fulfill his wish and understand the cause and effect between herself and the owner of the body. After all, she was only a quasi-saint and had not reached the level of a saint who was not involved in cause and effect. Su Qingni received the memory of this body and his wish, and the corners of her mouth twitched. The owner of the body she took over was a playboy, and his wish was to be a playboy forever, to be a playboy all his life, and to enjoy life all his life. This wish was simply amazing. If other people knew about it, they would definitely scold him. He doesn't know how to work hard and only thinks about eating, drinking and having fun. What's the difference between such a person and a waste? And the original body was scolded by others in this way, but the original body didn't care at all. His family is rich and powerful, so what's wrong with being a playboy? Many people want to be playboys but can't. The original body was the third young master of the Marquis's mansion. He had 2 older brothers. The 3 brothers were born to the same mother and were all legitimate sons. The Marquis's wife was a master of house fighting, at the same level as Jia's mother. Only she could give birth to a son, and the other concubines and maids only gave birth to illegitimate daughters but not illegitimate sons. The eldest son was the heir of the Marquis's mansion and was valued by the family. He moved out of the backyard at the age of 6 and followed his father to listen to his teachings. He spent very little time with his mother. The second son was a good reader. Since he showed his talent for reading after enlightenment, the Marquis paid more attention to the second son. He also moved the second son to the front yard and found 3 teachers to enlighten him. When the second son was 10 years old, he was sent to the academy to live and study. Therefore, the second son spent less time with his mother than the eldest son. Since both sons were not around her and were not close to her, the Marquis's wife put all her motherly love on the youngest son and spoiled him. The Marquis had no hope for the spoiled youngest son and was too lazy to take care of him, so the youngest son was all under the control of the Marquis's wife. The Marquis's wife was closer to the youngest son and spoiled him even more, which spoiled him into a dandy. He spent all day entertaining cats and dogs, eating, drinking, playing, going in and out of brothels and wine shops, and spending a lot of money. The Marquis's wife had a lot of dowry, and she had no burden at all to provide for her youngest son. When the Marquis saw that his eldest and second sons had made progress, he was finally able to devote some attention to his youngest son. When he wanted to manage his youngest son, he found that his youngest son had been completely spoiled by his wife. No matter how hard he tried, he could not make his youngest son progress even a little bit. In the end, The Marquis gave up on this son in disappointment and never cared about him again. The youngest son lived a comfortable and wanton life. He was a frequent visitor to brothels. Even after getting married, he did not restrain himself, which made his wife depressed all day long. As a result, she did not take good care of her body during pregnancy and eventually died of dystocia, leaving a son for her youngest son. The child was brought up by the Marquis's wife. She did not blame her youngest son for pissing his wife off to death. She just thought that her youngest daughter-in-law was too petty. Her son just liked to visit brothels a little more, and there were more maids and concubines in the backyard. It was not a big deal. Which man is not lustful? Which man has only one wife? If the youngest daughter-in-law died, she could find a broad-minded and good-looking wife for her youngest son. Her family background was clear, so even if she wanted to be a successor, many families would send their daughters to her for her to choose. Third Master, a tender voice entered Su Qingni's ears, and a pair of hands touched Su Qingni's chest, lingering on it. Su Qingni shuddered, opened her eyes suddenly, and saw a woman dressed as a maid lying on her, lighting him, with her hands. Su Qingni raised her eyebrows, pushed the woman away, and shouted coldly, "Get out!" Third Master. The maid looked at Su Qingni in disbelief. Su Qingni shouted, "Get out!" The maid was shocked and did not dare to stay any longer. She pulled up her coat and quickly left the room. Su Qingni stretched out her hand and rubbed her forehead. Damn, how can I be a dandy without breaking my character? Chapter 21, Ancient Dandy Part 2. What is a dandy? A dandy is a rich family kid who spends his days eating, drinking and having fun instead of doing his job. Su Qingni boasted that she could still be such a dandy. The problem was that the original owner was a dandy who liked beauty and was a playboy, and she couldn't do that. Her heart was women, and if she was asked to do that with other women, sorry, she wouldn't do it even if she owed the original owner karma. However, it seemed that the original owner didn't want Su Qingni to touch his women with his own body, so when Su Qingni made the decision not to touch the women in the original owner's backyard and never enter the brothel again, the causal line between the original owner and Su Qingni did not fluctuate. Su Qingni breathed a sigh of relief. From then on, she would continue to eat, drink and have fun according to the original owner's wishes, and even go to the casino to gamble a few rounds, but she would not touch women. However, if a man who likes women suddenly stops being involved in women, it will definitely arouse suspicion, so there must be a way to do it. After that day, the people in the Marquis's mansion found that the third young master had become very strange. He actually stopped letting his maids and concubines serve him, although the third young master was supposed to not have sex with other women during the period of mourning for his wife. According to the third young master's followers, the third young master did not even go to the brothel, and wandered around the streets every day, looking for so-called famous doctors and miracle doctors. By the way, are the medical skills of those famous doctors and miracle doctors mentioned by ordinary people better than those of the imperial doctors in the imperial hospital? I really don't know what the third young master is thinking. The Marquis's wife heard what the servants said and became worried. She quickly asked someone to call her youngest son to her yard and asked with concern, "Qingyu, have you been feeling unwell recently? Do you want your mother to help you find a doctor?" Su Qingni made a distorted face and refused, "No, no need." Seeing her son's face, the Marquis's wife was sure that her youngest son must have a physical problem, and immediately asked the nanny beside her to ask someone to find a doctor. "No." Su Qingni shouted, "Mother, don't call the imperial physician, don't call the imperial physician." The shouting sounded a bit exasperated, and the Marquis wife had to call the nanny and drive all the servants out of the room, and then asked Su Qingni, "Qingyu, tell me, what happened to you during this period of time?" "No, nothing." Su Qingni's eyes were evasive. The Marquis wife stared at Su Qingni's eyes without blinking. "I raised you, how can I, as a mother, not know if you are okay? If you are really okay, why don't you call those women in your backyard to serve you? Why don't you go to the brothel? Don't tell me that you want to observe mourning for your short-lived daughter-in-law. What kind of person you are, your mother knows better than you do. Tell me, is there something wrong with your body?" This. Su Qingni hesitated. Madame Hao slammed the table and said, "I am your mother. What are you embarrassed to say to me?" Su Qingni sighed and said in anger, "Mom, you have already guessed it, why are you forcing me to admit it?" Madame Hao was dumbfounded. You really have a problem there." Su Qingni nodded. Madame Hao closed her eyes and fell backwards. Su Qingni rushed forward and supported the Marquis's body, "Mother, please don't be in trouble." The Marquise opened her eyes, tears flowed out, and she hugged Su Qingni. "My poor child, how could you be like this?" Su Qingni pretended to be sad and sniffed, and said in a muffled voice, "Mother, I didn't want to do that either." The Marquise's wife patted his back and said, "Don't be sad, Mother will find the best doctor for you, use the best medicine, and will definitely cure your body." Don't. Su Qingni hurriedly stopped the Marquise's wife. "Mother, my son doesn't want people to know that my son is not well. People will laugh at him." The Marquise's wife said, "But if you don't let the imperial physician treat you, how can you get better? Son, face is important, but health is more important. You are still young, do you want to not touch a woman for decades in the second half of your life? I don't want to be a vegetarian monk." Su Qingni shouted with puffed cheeks. "So, son, we still have to find the imperial physician." The Marquise's wife coaxed her son like a child. "I will find the imperial physician in the name of my own medical condition, and then we will give the imperial physician a little more hush money. As long as the imperial physician does not say anything, no one else will know that it is your physical problem." Su Qingni made a naive expression. "Really? Won't it be discovered by others?" "Really?" The Marquise's wife nodded vigorously and decided to let the nanny beside her knock all the servants in the mansion later. "You just wait here, I will let Nanny Li go to invite the imperial physician." Okay. Su Qingni nodded vigorously, with a look of "Mom, my son depends on you," which made the Marquise's wife satisfied and distressed. Sure enough, the youngest son is the most caring and close to her, unlike the two older sons, who are just face-saving for her. If it weren't for the filial piety, these two would not come to see her several times a month. Their wives are not good either. Humph, they will make small calculations in their hearts and want the housekeeper power of the Marquise's mansion. The head lady is still healthy, why do I need them to share my worries and relieve my labor? After more than half an hour, the servants invited the director of the imperial hospital. To be able to become the director, it is natural that his medical skills are not to be mentioned, and he must be a very successful person. Cautiousness is the principle of doing things, otherwise it will be difficult to pass the harem. Madame Hao first asked the director to feel her pulse. After concluding that she was a little irritated and needed to eat white porridge for a few days to reduce the heat, Madame Hao smiled and said to the director, "Zhang Yuanzheng, please help my little son. This child is quite healthy, but he has a little problem. I want to ask Zhang Yuanzheng to help him treat him." Zhang Yuanzheng understood that the protagonist today was the third son of the Marquise's mansion instead of Madame Hao. It seems that the third son's problem cannot be told to others, so Madame Hao hinted at herself like this. Zhang Yuanzheng smiled and said, "The third son looks healthy, and some minor problems are not a concern." Su Qingni sweated, thinking to herself, "Don't you have a guilty conscience when you say things?" The original owner's little body was very weak, and he was hollowed out by himself. So how could he be healthy? Madame Hao and Zhang Yuanzheng reached an agreement, and they all looked at Su Qingni. Zhang Yuanzheng said to Su Qingni, "Third young master, please put your left hand on the table." Su Qingni stretched out his hand obediently, and Zhang Yuanzheng clasped his wrist with 3 fingers of his right hand. Although the original body was hollowed out, there was no problem with that part. But if Su Qingni wanted him to have a problem, he must have a problem. Zhang Yuanzheng diagnosed Su Qingni's pulse and understood that this third young master had a problem with that part. It's pitiful that he became a useless person at such a young age. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Ancient Dandy III. Zhang Yuanzheng made another diagnosis and frowned. The third son of the Su family was seriously ill. His penis was completely damaged. Even if he was treated, he would never regain his strength. Seeing Zhang Yuanzheng's expression, the Marquise's heart was lifted. She asked carefully, "Zhang Yuanzheng, how is my son?" Zhang Yuanzheng looked at the mother and son with sympathy and said something euphemistically, but the meaning was still clear. The third son of the Su family was damaged, and he was no different from a eunuch. The Marquise was stunned for a moment. Fortunately, she was still a lady of a wealthy family. She calmly sent Zhang Yuanzheng away and gave him a large denomination banknote as hush money. When only mother and son were left in the room again, Mrs. Hao burst into tears. "My poor son." Su Qingni also pretended to be in pain and at a loss, holding Mrs. Hao's hand and crying, which made Mrs. Hao even more distressed. "Son, don't be afraid. Mother will find a good doctor for you, who will definitely cure your body." Zhang Yuanzhang's medical skills are not the best. There are doctors with better medical skills than him. Mother will definitely help you find one. "No more," Su Qingni said, frustrated and painfully. "My son has been around the capital these days and has seen many capable doctors, but none of them can cure my son. Mother, my son is really useless. Don't talk nonsense. It will definitely be cured. It will definitely be cured." Mrs. Hao kept saying it, both to comfort her son and to comfort herself. In the following days, Madame Hao helped Su Qingni find many doctors to diagnose her body, including the imperial physician who was better than Zhang Yuanzhang in the imperial hospital, the retired imperial physician, and the prestigious doctor in the folk. Madame Hao even took Su Qingni to pray to Buddha, asking Buddha to bless her son to recover from his illness. Unfortunately, no matter whether she found a doctor prayed to the gods, no one could help her little son. Su Qingni smiled. A life of a simple life is very good. Finally, Madame Hao was desperate. Su Qingni pretended to be filial to her son to comfort Madame Hao. "Mother, don't worry about your son anymore. My son just has problems in that aspect, but it has no effect on his lifespan, and his body is fine in other aspects. At most, my son will not find a woman to serve him in the future, and his life will still go on as usual. And my son also has a son, and there is already someone to carry on the family line, so there will be no extinction, and there is no need to find a woman anymore, so just live like this." In the end, in order to conform to the temperament of the original owner, he became a broken jar. The Marquis' wife felt even more distressed about her youngest son, but the result was such that it could not be changed. The Marquis' wife could only comfort herself according to Su Qingni's words. Her son's body was fine in other places, and he would definitely live a long life. The son had a son, so he would not be extinct. When he was old, he would have his son and grandson to be filial to him. He would have someone to rely on in his old age, so he didn't have to worry too much. Anyway, she had decided to give all her private property to her youngest son in the future, so she didn't have to worry about money. Thinking of this, the Marquis' wife accepted the fact that her youngest son was inhumane. Su Qingni sent all the women in the backyard away on the grounds that she felt uncomfortable looking at them in front of her. Although it was a secret that she and the Marquis' wife were looking for a doctor for treatment, everyone in the Marquis's mansion knew what they should know. Those women knew that Su Qingni was useless, and they didn't want to stay in her backyard and live as widows. They readily accepted the money Su Qingni gave them and left. When the Marquis knew that his youngest son had become a useless person, he was so angry that he disliked his youngest son even more and gave up on him completely. Without Yingying and Yan'an around him, Su Qingni felt that the air had become fresher. She changed into her clothes for going out and took 2 servants to stroll on the street. In her sleeves was a handful of banknotes given to her by the Marquis's wife. She had money and free time, so she couldn't be too happy. But after 2 days of strolling around the street, Su Qingni felt that it was boring. The shops on the street were too small, and the things they sold were just that. They couldn't be compared with the commercial streets of the 21st century on Earth. There were very few entertainments in ancient times, only casinos and brothels. No wonder the original owner would linger in brothels. There was really no other place to kill time. Eating, drinking and having fun, eating and having fun, the other 3 items, the ancient times are really not as good as the modern times. Now that brothels can't be visited, how can we kill time? Don't let him read books, learn piano, chess, calligraphy and painting, etc. Those are the leisure and entertainment of literati and scholars. She is just a dandy, and those elegant leisure methods are not suitable for her. The original owner wanted to be a dandy all her life, but she felt bored after a few days. She still has to live her lifetime? If it weren't for the relationship of cause and effect, this world was connected to the underworld, and she would choose to leave at the first time. Therefore, in order to live out the original owner's life, she must find fun. There were no entertainment activities in ancient times, so she could move some modern entertainment activities to ancient times. There were no entertainment venues in ancient times, so she could build them herself. Su Qingni did what she thought of, and she picked up her belongings. There were many good things, many of which were valuable ornaments, all of which were given by the Marquis's wife to her beloved youngest son. There were no calligraphy and paintings, because the original owner did not like calligraphy and paintings, nor did she understand calligraphy and paintings. There was very little cash, and the original owner spent it lavishly as long as she had cash, and she had no savings at all. There was no other way, so Su Qingni could only take 3 antiques to the pawn shop and pawn them, and exchange them for 10,000 taels of silver. This 10,000 taels of silver seemed a lot. After all, ordinary people's families, 10 taels of silver might be enough for them to live for a year, and the annual salary of a 9th-rank official was only 35 taels of silver and 35 hu of rice, and this 10,000 taels of silver was the salary of the official for 20 to 30 years. But for what Su Qingni wanted to do, this 10,000 taels of silver was really not enough. I have to continue pawning antiques. With this in mind, Su Qingni picked out a few valuable antiques. Just as she was about to take the antiques to the pawn shop, she heard someone from the Marquis's wife's courtyard come to her and say that the Marquis's wife wanted to see her. Su Qingni put down the antiques and followed a little maid who had run away to the main courtyard where the Marquis's wife lived. On the way, the little maid whispered to Su Qingni in a flattering way, "Today, the eldest young lady came to see the lady and mentioned the matter of the third young master pointing the ornaments. She said that the third young master's behavior was really embarrassing for the Marquis's mansion." What the eldest young lady said was a bit unpleasant to hear, and the lady was furious. Su Qingni touched her nose. He had forgotten that the ornaments in his room strictly belonged to the palace. If he took them out to exchange for money, his eldest sister-in-law, who as the next lady in charge of the Marquis's mansion, would definitely be unhappy. No wonder she went to complain to the Marquis's wife. And the Marquis's wife would definitely protect her youngest son. The eldest young lady was so angry that she confronted the Marquis's wife. Chapter 23 Ancient Dandy 4. When Su Qingni arrived at the main courtyard, the eldest young lady had already left, and the Marquis' wife was sitting in the room sulking. She was still in charge of this family, but the eldest daughter-in-law treated the things in the Marquis's mansion as her own. How could she not be angry? You know, even if the family is divided, the eldest son and daughter-in-law, as the heirs of the Marquis's mansion, will only get 70% of the property, and the remaining 30% will belong to the second son and the youngest son. What's wrong with giving the youngest son the property that belongs to him in advance? Want her to come in front of her to accuse her and her youngest son? The Marquis' wife snorted coldly and said to the big maid beside her, "Send someone to guard the front yard, and let him come to see me immediately after the eldest young master comes back. At that time, she will ask the eldest son in person whether he does not regard her mother and brother as relatives, whether he has already regarded the Marquis's mansion as his own room, and wants to drive her mother and brother out of the Marquis's mansion." The big maid went out to arrange people. Just after she gave instructions to a maid, she saw Su Qingni coming over with a little maid. Chunmei, the head maid, went forward to greet Su Qingni and personally took her into the room. When the Marquis's wife saw Su Qingni, she quickly called her to her side and asked, "Why did you go to the pawn shop to pawn things?" Su Qingni thought that the Marquis's wife was blaming him for his behavior, and imitated the original owner to act pitiful, saying, "Mother, I didn't want to do that, but I was really short of money and didn't want to keep asking mother for it, so you set your sights on the decorations in your room." The Marquis's wife sighed, "You are not careful at all, and you were discovered by your eldest sister-in-law's people. You also know that your eldest sister-in-law is determined to have the power of housekeeper, and she even wants to use this matter as a handle to take the power of housekeeper from me." Su Qingni said apologetically, "I'm sorry for dragging my mother down." The Marquis's wife patted the back of Su Qingni's hand and said, "Don't go to the pawn shop to pawn things in the future. If others find out, it will be bad for the reputation of our Marquis's mansion. How much money do you want? Mother will give it to you." Su Qingni shook her head, No need. If it was only 1 or 2,000, it would be okay to ask the Marquis' wife for money, but the amount she wanted was really huge, and she was embarrassed to ask the Marquis' wife for money. Seeing his appearance, the Marquis' wife was shocked. It seemed that her youngest son needed a lot of money. He was a young man from a wealthy family, and his food, clothing and daily expenses were all paid by the Marquis's mansion. He only spent money when he went out. How could he need so much money? "King Gaiu, you didn't go to the casino to gamble and owe a lot of money, did you?" asked the Marquis' wife. Su Qingni hurriedly denied, "Mother, my son didn't go to the casino. If you don't believe me, you can ask my personal servant." The Marquis' wife asked again, Why do you need so much money? You pawned those 3 antiques for 10,000 taels. This 10,000 taels is enough for the whole Marquis's mansion to spend for a year. Su Qingni thought about it and decided to tell her everything she was going to do. The Marquis' wife was the one who cared about her the most. If she didn't tell her what she was going to do, she was afraid that the Marquis' wife would worry. Mother, my son wants to build an entertainment venue. Entertainment venue. The Marquis' wife had never heard of this word and repeated it in confusion. It's a place for eating, drinking and having fun. Su Qingni briefly explained their direction to Madame Hao. My son plans to buy Tuiyu Mountain in the suburbs and build a hunting ground behind it for people to hunt and have fun. In the front mountain, my son plans to build a bathing center, a casino, and a dance theater. My son will also divide the area into 2 areas. One area will be used to build a tea house, a chess and art hall, a piano and calligraphy and painting hall, for scholars to come in for fun and leisure. The other area will be dedicated to serving female guests, where women can enjoy the mountains and rivers, and maintain their skin in a beauty salon. Madame Hao was unfamiliar with many of the words Su Qingni said, but it did not prevent her from understanding how much benefit her son would get after such a place was built. Money is one aspect, but the most important thing is connections. Madame Hao straightened her face and said to Su Qingni, "Tell me in detail, what are the bathing centers, dance theaters, and beauty salons?" The bathing center is a place for bathing, but it is not just a bathing place. I will arrange for the waiters to give the guests acupuncture massage. The dance theater is a place to watch singing, dancing and opera. The beauty salon is a place for skincare. Mother, when the beauty salon is built, your son will let you be the first to experience it. After a beauty treatment, I guarantee that your skin will become whiter and softer, and you will look 10 years younger. Really? Madame Hao's eyes lit up when she heard the last sentence. No woman can resist the temptation to become younger. Su Qingni nodded. Madame Hao got confirmation and became interested in Su Qingni's amusement park, especially the beauty salon. King Gaiu, it will cost a lot of money to build your amusement park, at least 1 million, right? Madame Hao said. Su Qingni said, my son has asked someone to make a plan. It will cost less than 1 million, and the labor and materials will cost about 700,000 or 800,000. And my son will not spend so much money at once. He wants to build it in phases. He will first build a bath center, beauty salon and dance theater, and open them to the public. When he makes money, he will invest in the construction of the second phase of the project. That's a good idea. The Marquis nodded. This initial construction will require more than 100,000 or 200,000 taels of silver, right? Your mother will pay for it for you. No, no need. Su Qingni shook her hand to refuse. This entertainment park was built by my son for his own fun. How can I let your mother pay for it? The Marquis said, you are my son. Isn't it normal for me to spend money to build a place for you to play? But I'm grown up. No matter how old he is still my son. The Marquis patted her son's hand and said, and all my private money in the future will be given to you. I'm just giving it to you in advance now. Mother. Su Qingni pretended to have tears in her eyes, but she was sighing in her heart. The Marquis's wife was really good to her youngest son, and she was too partial to him, which made the eldest and second sons feel uncomfortable with the Marquis's wife. Coupled with the pillow talk of the 2 daughters-in-law, the 2 eldest sons were even more dissatisfied with the Marquis's wife and the youngest son. From the timeline of this world, Su Qingni saw that if she had not arrived, the original owner and the Marquis's wife would not have ended up well. The Marquis passed away, and the eldest son inherited the Marquis's mansion. Naturally, the housekeeping power was taken over by the eldest daughter-in-law. After the eldest daughter-in-law took control of the Marquis's mansion, she secretly attacked the Marquis's wife and the original owner. The eldest daughter-in-law sold the maidservants around the Marquis's wife, secretly replaced the Marquis's private property with inferior ones, and replaced most of them, and fed the Marquis's wife with incompatible foods. The Marquis's wife died in just 3 years due to physical decline. After her death, the eldest son divided the family and drove the original owner out of the Marquis's mansion without caring about the brotherhood. Chapter 24 Ancient Dandy 5. The original owner was just a dandy boy, who had no ability and did not work, so he could only live off his family. However, most of the private property left to him by the Marquis's wife was exchanged by the eldest daughter-in-law, leaving him only some worthless things. In just 10 years, the original owner's money was spent, and he became impoverished, and finally had to rely on the Marquis's mansion to live. As the original owner's elder brothers, the eldest son and the second son had no good feelings and emotions for this younger brother because of their mother's excessive partiality. After the division of the family, they no longer cared about this younger brother. When they heard that their younger brother was too poor to eat, they did not help him. Only when the younger brother died did they let the servants send some silver to the younger brother's son, so that the younger brother's son could handle the younger brother's funeral, and leave a part of the silver for the younger brother's son's future life. The original owner's ending was made by himself, but he could not avoid the partiality of the Marquis's wife. The weak Marquis's wife could later divide 1/10 of the mother's love for the younger son to treat the eldest son and the second son. The two would not ignore their younger brother because of jealousy and hatred, right? Su Qingni took the silver note given to him by the Marquis's wife and left the main courtyard. She was not the original owner, and would not let herself and the Marquis end up like they did. She decided that after the separation, she would take the Marquis to her home to take care of her. As for the Marquis's private vault to build an amusement park for him, Su Qingni no longer refused. Rather than having the Marquis's private house stolen by the eldest young lady, it would be better to use it for herself now. The original body was a playboy, but the people under him were still capable. These people were carefully selected for him by the Marquis. Su Qingni assigned the tasks. One person went to buy the mountain, one went to buy raw materials, and one was to find craftsmen and coolies. The maids around her were also assigned tasks, and according to the recipes provided by Su Qingni, they made essential oils, facial cleansers, essence creams, facial masks, soaps and other skincare products, as well as rouge, powder, lipstick, eyebrow pencils and other cosmetics. The cost of investment was very high, but with a continuous financial support from the Marquis, the first phase of the amusement park was finally completed a year later. More than half of the private room of the Marquis' wife had been consumed. Su Qingni tactfully reminded the Marquis that the remaining half should be transported to a farm of her own by her most trusted nanny. Only the Marquis' wife Su Qingni and the two old nannies the Marquis' wife trusted the most knew about this matter. Even the maids around the Marquis' wife did not know about it. The Marquis' wife took the maids to walk around in her private room filled with objects. The remaining objects in the private room were large and difficult to carry and worthless. The Marquis' wife did the same as the eldest young lady and replaced the precious and valuable treasures with fakes. Therefore, although there were many things in the private room, the total value was less than 10,000 taels of silver. The maids looked leisurely. Seeing so many things, they could not tell the real from the fake. Their eyes were full of amazement, amazed at how rich their master was. The Marquis' wife swept her eyes over their faces and could not tell who among them had betrayed her. Perhaps the eldest daughter-in-law had not yet won them over. Or maybe they still disdain the eldest daughter-in-law's solicitation. After all, they are still the mistress of the house. Chunmei, I give you the key to the private vault. You will help me take care of the private vault in the future. Madame Hao handed the key to Chunmei, the head maid. Chunmei was full of surprise, while the other three maids showed jealousy on their faces, but they quickly covered it up. Madam, I will definitely take good care of your private vault and will not let anything in the vault leave the private vault without your permission. Chunmei said loyally. Madame Hao nodded and led people out of the private vault. Chunmei walked at the end and locked the door of the private vault with a lock. A few days later, Nanny Li came to Madame Hao and whispered to Madame Hao, Madam, it's Dong Su. It turned out to be her. Madame Hao was surprised. She thought it was Chunmei who betrayed her. Chunmei's sister worked in the yard of the eldest daughter-in-law. She thought Chunmei would be wooed by the eldest daughter-in-law because of her sister, so she gave the key to the private vault to Chunmei, but she didn't expect that the person was Dong Su, whom she had never suspected. You have to know that Dong Su is an honest person and doesn't seem like the kind of person who would betray his master. Nanny Li replied, that little bitch looks honest and loyal on the surface, but she is very conceited. She actually fell in love with the eldest young master and wanted to become his woman. The eldest young lady found out about this and used the eldest young master as a lure. She let Dong Su become her spy and leaked what happened in your yard to her. The Marquis's wife gritted her teeth in anger. What a bitch, what an unfilial thing. Humph, last time I asked the eldest son to take good care of his wife and tell her not to always stare at his brother and my private life. It seems that the eldest son turned a deaf ear to my words and didn't listen at all. I'm afraid he is standing on the side of his good wife and doesn't take me, his mother, seriously. When the Marquis is gone, Will I still have a place to stand in this mansion? Nanny Li hurriedly comforted the Marquis's wife. I think the eldest young master doesn't know how excessive the eldest young lady's actions were, and he was fooled by her words, so he didn't react much. Madam, the eldest young master is definitely filial to you. You know, filial piety is the most respected virtue nowadays. The Marquis's wife snorted. It is because of the existence of filial piety that I can feel at ease. But I am worried about his wife. She only keeps her eyes on the storehouse and my private storehouse. Nanny Li said, didn't Madam already switch the private storehouse? No matter what the eldest young lady does, she will end up with nothing in the end. The Marquis's wife felt more refreshed. Haha, you're right. I can't wait to see her expression when she finds out that she has planned everything but got nothing. Nanny Li also laughed a few times, and said with some relief, fortunately, Madam only let me and Mrs. Zhang switch the private storehouse, and didn't let those little hoofs know, otherwise the eldest young lady would know. And you didn't tell those little hoofs about giving money to the third young master, otherwise the eldest young lady would come to you and say sour words again. The Marquis's wife nodded. You have been with me for decades, so I naturally trust you. How long have those little girls been with me? How could I trust them? You can only guess at important things. Madame Li was very happy about her master's trust in her. She grinned and approached the Marquis' wife and asked, Madam, we already know that the bitch Duongsa betrayed her master. How should we punish her? Don't touch her for now. The Marquis' wife said, it's easier to control the known spy by keeping him under our noses. Let her help us pass the message to the eldest brother's wife. Chapter 25 Ancient Dandy VI. Su Qingni ran in happily from outside the yard, holding an exquisite invitation in her hand, and handed it to the Marquis. Mother, the amusement park will open in 3 days. I invite you to be my first female guest. The Marquis took the invitation happily, looked at the date written on it, which was 4 days later, and asked, why 4 days later? Su Qingni said, the amusement park will receive male guests on the first day, and female guests on the second day. You are thoughtful. The Marquis nodded. Su Qingni smiled and said, Mother, come earlier then, you can soak in the hot springs more, it is good for your health. Su Qingni felt lucky. She had only bought a barren mountain, but she didn't expect that there would be hot springs in the mountain. This was a treasure. The bathing center didn't need to boil water by itself, and the firewood fee could be saved. The most important thing was that hot springs were good for the body. As long as the hot spring sign was put up, many nobles in the capital would rush to come. 3 days later, the rich entertainment park, that's how down to earth it was, opened. The eldest son Su Qingsun and the second son Su Qinghun of the Marquis mansion both received invitations and learned that the amusement park was opened by their younger brother. In this regard, the two young masters felt that their younger brother was too dissolute. In order to have more fun and enjoy himself, he actually spent a lot of money to build an amusement park. It was really not a step forward. The two elder brothers looked down on Su Qingni, and other people in the capital looked down on Su Qingni. Only the original owner's friends, who were also dissolute, regarded the original owner as a role model for our generation. They prepared the banknotes early in the morning and waited for the opening day, and ran over happily. Su Qingni happily received her friends, took them to the hot springs, let the beautiful ladies give them massages, and took them to the casino. In addition to traditional gambling techniques such as pai gao, dice, and mahjong, Su Qingni also brought out playing cards, blackjack, landlords, tractors. The novel ways of playing attracted the interest of these friends, and they stayed at the card table and didn't even go to the song and dance theater. The song and dance theater is divided into 3 departments. The high platform in the middle is where the performances are performed, and under the high platform is where the musicians play. The other 2 parts are the audience stands, but they are separated by high walls to form 2 non-interconnected parts, separating male and female audiences. Due to time constraints, Su Qingni did not produce a drama, but only invited a few troupes to perform. There was not much novelty, so not many people went to see the performance. Su Qingni pinched her chin. Should she write an outline herself and ask someone to write a few plays to attract popularity? Third young master, the eldest and second young masters are here. Su Qingni's follower Su Mo ran over and reported to Su Qingni. Oh? Big brother and second brother are here? Then I should go to greet them in person. Su Qingni said hello to a few of her friends who were having fun, and then went to see Su Qingsun and Su Qinghun. Big brother and second brother are here, which makes my humble home more glorious. Su Qingni looked nonchalant and greeted Su Qingxin and Su Qinghuan with a smile. Su Qingxin and Su Qinghuan frowned slightly. Both of them didn't like Su Qingni's tone and appearance. They wanted to scold her, but they were afraid that Su Qingni would run home to complain to the Marquis' wife. The original owner had done this many times, so they just endured it. After all, this is your property. If you manage it well, you will have an additional source of income in the future. Su Qingxin instructed Su Qingni with a wooden face. He couldn't help but think of his wife's complaint to her the night before, saying that there was no division of the family, and this amusement park should also be considered as the property of the Marquis mansion, and the third brother should hand over the amusement park to the public. He thought it made sense, so he mentioned it to his father. As a result, his father listened to his mother and rejected his opinion. He only said that the amusement park was a place for his brother to play, built by his mother with her private house, and it did not belong to the Marquis mansion, so he asked him not to think about it. Is he thinking about his mother's property? He just doesn't want his third brother to squander his mother's private property. He doesn't think that this kind of place for his brother to play can make any money. He is kind-hearted. What does his mother think of him? Su Qingxin was angry and his attitude towards Su Qingni became not so good. Su Qinghuan's attitude was better. Although he looked down on his brother's dandy behavior and was a little annoyed by his mother's partiality, he didn't have a wife who would so discard and blow pillow wind, and his relationship with his mother and brother was not too bad. Su Qingni was not a masochist. Seeing that her two brothers didn't like her, she left in the name of entertaining other guests, leaving her two brothers to Sumo. Sumo took them to the hot springs and worked as a prostitute. When the two saw that they were served by 4 young and beautiful women, they thought it was the same as what they did in a brothel, so they all refused with dark faces. They only went to the song and dance theater to listen to 2 plays and then left. When the eldest brother Su returned home, he went to the Marquis to complain that his third brother was running a brothel. "Father, if you don't stop my third brother, the reputation of our Marquis's house will be ruined by him." The Marquis's face also darkened, and he immediately sent his men to take Su Qingni home for interrogation. Su Qingni knew that this would happen when she heard the reactions of her 2 brothers from Sumo, and she followed the people sent by the Marquis back to the Marquis's house very calmly. Evil creature. Su Qingni just entered the study room and was greeted by a black inkstone. Su Qingni quickly turned her head to get out of the way. The inkstone was hard and heavy, and it would definitely make a hole if it hid her head. "You still dare to hide?" The Marquis became even angrier, and he picked up the paperweight on the table and threw it at him again. Su Qingni dodged again and said, "Father, what is this doing? What did your son do wrong?" "Father, you look like you want to kill your son." "What did I do wrong?" The Marquis was furious. "You still have the nerve to ask? The son of the Marquis actually runs a women's brothel, which is a disgrace to our Su family. You can apologize to our ancestors after I die. How could my child run a women's brothel?" Su Qingni made a shocked expression. "Father, who did you listen to slander your son?" She glanced at Su Qingxin standing beside her, and snorted in her heart. This eldest brother really has no brotherly love for her. The most important thing in his heart is the Marquis's mansion. Who would slander you? If you weren't running a women's brothel, how could your elder and second brothers leave your amusement park so quickly? It's uncomfortable for them to stay there. The Marquis snorted coldly. "You should quickly drive away those women who are masochists in your garden. The reputation of our Marquisate cannot be ruined because of you and them. It's unfair." Su Qingni cried out loudly. "Masochists are a technical job that massages the customers' bodies to relax them and have healthcare effects. How can it be confused with brothels?" End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.